How to write answers in CS exams. This is the most common questions we get asked by students who are studying company secretary course. In this video, I will be solving the December 2024 company law and practice question paper for CS executive. Just in case you don't know me, I am Company Secretary Alok. I'm a faculty here at Ekcel Academy. I'm a practicing company secretary, and my passion is to ensure that every student who takes company secretary course becomes a company secretary. So what can you expect in this video? We will take December 2024 question paper. We will be reading the questions. We will be solving the answers. I will be telling you what is the ideal way to write the answer. We have spent a lot of time to give you the perfect answers. This video may be long, but make sure you watch till the end. We also have timestamps below to help you to go to the question if you want a particular question. And to make it even better for you, we have a Google form in the description below. If you fill that Google form, we will be giving you the complete solved paper so that you can refer after watching this video. But the first thing is, watch this video, understand what are the type of questions, how to analyze the question, how to read the question, and how to write answer. But first is always, how do you read and understand the question? For that, we have something called as the IQCQ Framework. This is a framework which we are using at Ekcel Academy. All our students are getting very good marks because they know how to read the question. If you don't believe me, you can go to the success stories on our YouTube channel. There you will find hundreds of our students how they passed, and they will share their experience. So what is IQCQ? When you read a question and when you want to write answers, the first step is I. I means there are two things actually for I. The first I tells that telling yourself I know the answer. That is simple. But the second I, most important, identify the keywords. What are the key words in the question? The question is long, especially after ICSI started giving you 15 minutes of reading time. They made the question so long. Everyone thought, oh, I have 15 minutes reading time. But ICSI said, we'll give you a long question paper. So identifying the keywords is the first step. The second step is analyzing what type of question is it. What type of question is it? Is it a case law question? Is it an explain question? Is it a difference between question? Because depending on type of question, the way you write the answer will also change. And finally, we have the C, IQC. C is, what is the concept? What is the exact concept which they are asking you? Why I am telling this is, when you study such a big concept, correct? Let us say MOA, Memorandum of Association. Let us say directors. It is a big ocean, but the question will be one dot in that ocean. There will be one specific concept which they are testing, correct? That is why identify which concept they are doing. And finally, the Q is quickly plan your answer. Quickly in your mind plan the answer and start writing. This is what we call IQCQ. If you want to learn more, please do subscribe to our channel and also be in touch with us. WhatsApp us on 973-973-3400 because we keep doing sessions on how to write answer and all of that. You can join those sessions. Now we will come to December 2024 company law and practice, solving the entire paper. Make sure you watch till the end. First things first. The first question is a long question. It is a case study question. So first let us understand the question. Let us understand the keywords. So here what happens, the background is, there are Lalit, Bisen, Roma, Raunak, Rasik. These are all practicing company secretaries. They're giving you a scenario. This is question number 1. Okay. And they meet regularly and they discuss company law, which is very good. They meet regularly and they discuss company law. So they're giving you a scenario. They decided to meet every Sunday. See, even ICSI can do printing mistake. See, it is Sunday, right? It is SUNDARY. ICSI can also make mistakes, spelling mistake. So for Sunday, they added R, which is wrong, and I am surprised. How can they make such a silly mistake? Did they not read before printing? Anyway, we can't help it. Sunday evening to share their views. So these people used to meet every Sunday evening to share the views, and in one time when they met, there are 5 different issues which they have discussed. So those 5 different issues are given, and based on the 5 different issues there is one question each for 3 marks. So the first question is coming to you for 15 marks. So as you know, in company law, part A is 60 marks and part B is 40 marks. Part B is directors, meetings and things like that. Part A is company, shares, charges, debentures, accounts and audit, right? All this, also see things like section 230 to 240, that is corporate restructuring. All that comes, arrangements, amalgamation, comes under part A for 60 marks. So in that 60 marks, first question is for 3 marks into 5 questions, but it's a long one, 15 marks. So Lalit, change name of the company and issues connected therewith. So there are 5 friends, they are all practicing as a company secretary and they're discussing some issues. So Lalit said that, see, first we'll take time to understand the question. So please be patient. I want you to know in detail, please. Lalit began discussing, informing the group that he has a client called Rupam Leathers. They changed their name to Rakshak Leathers in January 2024. Before the change, company had filed a case against the suppliers in May 2023. So May 23, this Rupam Leather had filed a case against supplier, but Rupam Leather changed the name to Rakshak Leather in January 2024. Okay. In April 2024, the supplier filed a case to dismiss the suit. The supplier said that Rupam Leather is no more existing because they changed the name. The new certificate is given by registrar. The MD of company has expressed concern about this litigation. So MD says, oh God, what should I do if this is the case? So MD is feeling like that, correct? But what is the common sense? Now suppose your name is, simply I'm telling, your name is Rupa. Okay. From Rupa, you're changing your name to Ashita. I'm just giving some name. Rupa becomes Ashita. Does it mean the person is different? No, it is the same person, name change, same logic applies here. So this is the first thing which they have told. So I will not read the other things, I'll read the question relating to this. So they have given 5 scenarios. In that, based on the scenario, analyze the issue, provide legal opinion in each case according to Companies Act. Okay. So the first question is, explain the effect of change in the company's name. Advise the managing director on whether the supplier application for dismissal of case is tenable. So we know as a common sense that, come on here, just because the company changed the name, we cannot say the case is not there. We know that, but how do we write the answer for that? How do we write the answer for that? This is where you need to understand. So if you look at IQCQ, my framework which I'm telling you, IQCQ, you say, yes, I know the answer. Then you say, identify the keywords. Explain the effect of change of name of the company. Advise the managing director. So the most important keyword is effect. Effect is the important keyword. What is the type of question? Explain. So we need to write in points explaining why that there is no difference just because the company changed the name. Case will not fall, right? Then see what concept are they asking about change in name, and effect of change in name is the concept. So quickly plan the answer. So how do you quickly plan the answer and write? Change the name of the company and its effect on the litigation. This is the concept which they are trying to answer. So you can write by starting saying that under section so and so. If you write the section number, very good. But if you don't remember section, it's okay. When a company changes its name, ROC gives the new certificate of incorporation. So we are telling the law. So everywhere in this entire video, in the entire solving of this question paper, what we do is, first we write what is the law. Then we do the application of law. Then we connect the question with the law and the answer. This is the general framework to write answers. So we are telling what is the law. So name change does not affect the rights and obligations of the company. Section 13 subsection 6, that is the law. So company continues to exist the same way as before. Now we are connecting the question with the law and writing the answer. We are connecting the question. That means the facts in the question, the facts in the case law. Supplier application for dismissal is based on the company's name change is not tenable, means it is not valid. The supplier is stupid. We can't write that, but the supplier is stupid, yaar. Come on, if the company changes name, can you say the case is no more there? When the company filed a case against me, they were called Rupam. Now they become Rakshak. So that company is only not there. New certificate is there. I will not answer the company. The supplier is very, very stupid, but we can't write the word stupid. So what should we write? Company's obligation, litigation remain intact, means it remains valid. And the name change does not dissolve the legal entity. Name change will not affect the legal entity, only the form is changing. Like I told, if you are there, whatever is your name, you change your name, but you are the same person now. So whether you have your personal asset, case, everything will continue same way. So conclusion. So I have also written a conclusion. Conclusion is very important. Why? When you write your answer in one line, you can summarize and write in one line, that is conclusion. Because in the ending, when the person reads it, that is when they give the marks. Imagine the person who's correcting the paper. Go into their mind, understand their mindset. You have written everything correct, but you are reminding them that, sir, the managing director can continue to pursue the litigation. The supplier's argument for dismissal lacks merit under the law. You are summarizing everything in one line. So when they see this, that is when they should give marks. And how much they will give? If you write like this, according to me, they'll give you 3 marks. If not, at least 2.5. Correct? This is how you should write. Great. Now, next thing. So what is the question? There are 5 friends. They are all practicing CS. They are discussing different cases. So first case we understood, name change. Next one. Another person in this 5 friends, Bisen, is a practicing CS. Mentioned that his client, JK Aluminium, is planning for public issue of equity shares and intends to offer options to the directors, officers, employees under ESOP. So they want to give ESOP to director, office, employees. Okay. CFO of the company expressed doubt whether all employees, directors, independent directors are eligible for allotment. Can independent directors also be given ESOP? That is the question, right? He questioned whether vesting period can be 2 years and if lock-in period of 5 years is provided in the scheme. Okay. So relating to that, when the friends discussed, the question which our ICSI is given, the second question for 3 marks. Regarding employee stock option scheme, whether all employees, director, independent director eligible for allotment. So can everybody get ESOP? First question. Whether lock-in period can be provided under the ESOP. So within this question, they have 1 and 2. So this 3 marks also is divided into, let us say, 1.5 mark each. Correct? So answer 1B. So we are going to answer 1B. Correct? This is for 3 marks. But in that there are 2 sub-questions. So actually when these sub-questions are there, it is good. Because you know that, okay, if I answer this, I'll get 1 mark or 2 marks or 1.5 mark. The more sub-questions are there, it is easier for you to score. That is how I look at it. Eligibility. So section 62 subsection 1 clause B and the rules, company share capital debenture rules. What are they saying? Permanent employees working in India or abroad can get the ESOP. Directors excluding independent directors. Independent directors we don't give ESOP. Employees of holding or subsidiary company, right? Independent directors are not eligible. Independent directors are not eligible for share allotment under ESOP scheme. Write that with a clarity and emphasis. Clarity, emphasis, because that is the answer which you need to write. Correct? So we are writing the law. And when you mention section numbers, I told you if you don't remember section number, it's okay, but you have to write answer. But if you remember section numbers, you get extra marks. It's as simple as that. If you remember section numbers, I keep telling my students, especially the ones who have joined our coaching, if you write section numbers, take it from me, extra 10 marks you'll get. Yes, you may tell, oh what sir, you're simply telling something. If you are to get 50 marks, with section numbers you'll get 60, period. That is how important section numbers are. Sir, how to remember so many? You don't have to remember so many. You can remember 20 to 30 sections. That is more than enough to begin with. Because the regular questions are asked from these sections. Which are these sections? All of that I tell it in my classes. You can definitely consider that. Okay, you have understood this. Now, lock-in period. So that 1B has a second sub-question. There is no specific lock-in period for ESOPs under Companies Act. However, vesting conditions periods can be defined in ESOP policy. 5 years lock-in is permissible if it is as per the scheme approved by shareholders. So again, conclusion what? Company can set 5-year lock-in period subject to the shareholder approval. Shareholders, if they agree, company law will not stop you. Shareholders, they are the owners of your company, they are agreeing. Company law will not stop you. That is the simple logic which you should understand. Okay. Next. So these 5 friends are discussing, correct? So another question number 3. Books of accounts. Roma stated that is appointed secretarial auditor of Janak Textile, is registered in Chennai and branch office is in California, USA. Company is in Chennai, branch is in US. While conducting secretarial audit, she noticed that one director of company had requested for financial information beyond the financial returns maintained in registered office. So one director said, I want to see financial information of the branch office also. The board of directors said that no, we can't give it to you, and said that director can inspect summarized quarterly return sent by branch office to registered office. She asked the other group members to analyze the situation. So what is the situation? Yeah, so what is the situation? The question is, request of a director of financial information related to branch office beyond the return, correct, was rejected by the board. Analyze the situation, determine whether board decision to deny is valid or not. Can the board of directors say that no, we will not give you the full financials of USA, which is our branch office. You have to just take the summary which is given by the branch once in 3 months and you should be happy with it. See, the logically it seems that is wrong, correct? That seems completely wrong. So, but we have to write the legal provisions. So always write what is the law. Section 128, company must maintain books of accounts in registered office. Branch office can maintain separate books of accounts and they will give the summarized financials to the head office or the registered office. Directors, this is where our knowledge, application of mind. Directors have right to inspect all financial records under section 128 subsection 3. Denying the director access to branch office is not valid, as directors have fiduciary duty to oversee the company's operation. It is the director of company. How can you tell them no, you can't, you have to wait, we'll give you only summary? Logically also it's wrong, legally also it is wrong. The board's decision to deny access to the requested financial information is invalid. They have to give the financials to the director, correct? That is what is the next important thing for us to understand. Okay, we understood that 3 questions. Next, 4th, so these 5 practicing company secretaries are discussing all different problems. So what is the next problem? Raunak is a practicing CS. This is a case, okay, imaginary case. He said that dormant company problem is that Consultancy received a notice from ROC. ROC sent a notice for entering the name in the register maintained for dormant company. However, reviewing the company's records, he found that it has not filed financial statement for 2 years. For 2 years, company has not filed financial statement and annual return for 1 year. So, the company has not filed AOC 4 for 2 years, but MGT 7 or MGT 7A, the company has not filed for only 1 year. So, this is 2 years they have not filed. This is only 1 year they have not filed. Okay, 1 year. He requested the group to discuss and deliberate, particularly light of MD's concern about validity of the ROC notice. Can ROC send a notice that we are going to make you dormant company because you have not filed 2 years AOC 4 and 1 year MGT 7. This 2 years 1 year is important for us to understand. Okay. So what is the question? Elucidate. So what is the keyword over here? The keyword is determine the validity of the notice. Keyword. So identify keywords. What type of question is it? It is a question where we have to elucidate. What do you mean by elucidate? We have to show how the law can be applied and not just explain. So we should be little more than explanation with a good reference, right? Okay, IQ. So what concept they're asking? About when can a company become dormant? That is the concept. When? Is it 2 years? Is it 1 year? What is it? Correct? So, and is the notice valid or not? Is the notice valid or not? So what is the answer? Again, first we should write what is the law, then apply the facts given in the question and write the answer. Application of your mind, application of the concept. Correct? All right. Section 455, section number again, talks about dormant company. Company can be declared dormant if it has not filed financial statement annual return for 2 years. Financial statement or annual return for 2 years. Okay. The registrar has authority to classify such companies as dormant. So in analysis, there are 2 ways you can write answer. Okay. I'm right. I've told one way. Otherwise, in the comments, everybody, no sir, you're wrong. Relax. This is my interpretation. You can write both. Did not file financial statement for 1 year only. Why? So I am saying registrar's notice is invalid. Why? You'll tell no sir, but it is written or here, financial statement or annual return. But I am telling that they have filed for 1 year, they have missed. So the meeting notice is invalid. But if you want to say that no sir, because they used or here, according to us, meeting valid, it's the notice is valid because financial statement I didn't file 2 years. So any one thing it is not filed, ROC can send the notice. Yes, ROC can send notice, but I am a practicing CS. I will always take the side of the company. I will interpret the law in such a way that the ROC has done not the right thing, it is the wrong thing. So ROC notice for dormant status is invalid. Company can challenge this notice. This is my way. So there are 2 ways you can write the answer. Both are correct. So don't think that only one of them is right. Okay. So next we will go to, in this long case, yeah, next, Rasik, another person who is the CS, the last question in this long question. Yeah, is legal advisor to MNO corporation, government company. Balances extracted from latest financial statements of the company are as follows. Paid up capital is 10 crore, free reserves is 4 crore, security premium account is 2 crore and turnover is 300 crore. Company wants to invite deposit 4 crore from public. And what is the most important thing? It is a government company. Government company, read the question properly, right? And the deposit amount, whether it is within the limit. So comments from the other group members was asked. Okay. And the question which they have asked us is, yeah, the government company proposes to invite deposit of 4 crore from public. Yeah, you can take 4 crore from public, but whether it is within the limit which the government company can invite. So is it 4 crore within or is it more? And assess whether they can invite deposits of up to 4 crores. So can they take 4 crores? So what is the legal provision? Acceptance of deposit rules. There is a limit. You can't take how much ever, but what is that limit? Public companies can accept up to 35% of paid up share capital, free reserve, security premium account. Government company can also accept the same limit. So up to 35% of paid up capital plus free reserves plus securities premium account. Okay, 35% of it. So in our example, in our case, they've given you facts. They've given you that table. What? Paid up capital is 10 crore, free reserves is 4, security premium is 2 crore. Total is our 16 crore. So 35% of 16 crore is 5.6 crore. So what does it mean? Simple. MNO corporations proposal for 4 crores is within the limit. So it is definitely within the limits, and in the conclusion you can say yes, MNO, which is the government company, can take the deposit up to 4 crores as per the calculation. They are within the limit. So when you write like this, you are definitely going to get the marks. It is as simple as that. So what I would request you is, please practice writing every day. Even in our coaching, what we tell students is simple. Write answer every day. Take a micro exam every day. Take a weekly test every week. Take a mock exam. You'll never be scared of exam, and writing answers is never going to be hard. It's as simple as that, nothing very difficult. So that comes to the end of question number 1, which was for 15 marks. Now we will go ahead with the next questions. From question number 2, we will go ahead and we will understand how to write the answer for question number 2. Now let's move to question number 2 in our company law solved paper. We are solving December 2024 company law. Yes, here we have a question relating to the chapter of charges. Charges, as you know, is an interesting chapter where we have section 77 to 87. All the provisions relating to charges are there. Now I am not going to be teaching charges, but we'll only be solving this question. Of course, if you want to learn, you can watch our demo lectures. NSG Limited, they created a charge in favor of Bank A. So there is a company which created a charge with Bank A for a loan it had taken, and the charge have been registered with the registrar. So they took a loan and they registered the charge, which is very nice. Bank A transferred the charge to Bank B, but that Bank A has transferred the charge to Bank B because of a loan portfolio sale. So what happens in banks, the entire bank may sell all the loans to another bank if they are not able to manage or for other business reasons for the bank, okay, without altering any terms and conditions of the original loan agreement. So NSG Limited and Bank A. So as you can see, we have NSG Limited and Bank A. Okay, they have taken a loan, there is a charge, but this Bank A has transferred all its loan portfolio, all the loan portfolio including the NSG loan charge what it's created, to another bank. So this bank has kind of sold its assets, transferred its assets, but they did not change any agreement. Actually now the relationship will be between NSG and Bank B, correct? Because the relationship was NSG and Bank A, as you can see. Now it will be Bank B, but they did not alter any changes. Are there any compliance requirement relating to registration of charges under Companies Act in this case? See, many times you get clues in the question itself. So the nature of the question is, are there any compliance? Of course there are compliance requirements. What are those compliance requirements? We have to write, but are there compliance requirements? The answer will be yes. Okay. So now let us try and understand what are these compliance requirements and how to go about it. So simple thing is, we have this NSG with Bank A, there is a charge, but Bank A has sold its asset to Bank B. So now the relationship should be with Bank B. That is the common sense. But how do you write this answer? So when you write the answer, first you must write what are the provisions. If you look at the company law question paper also, everywhere they are asking you to write the provision. So please write the provisions. So whenever there is a compliance requirement for transfer or assignment of charge, that is section 77, along with the rules which is company's registration of charges rules. So let us see. And when you write, please write in a language like you are talking. It should be conversational. See this sentence here. Here is the explanation for the scenario. So you think the person who's correcting the paper is sitting next to you and you're talking to them. So when you talk to them, you will tell, no, so here is the scenario, here how we have to do. That is your conversational English. That is what you should use whenever you are looking at this. So compliance for transfer of charge. So this question is about one bank has transferred the charge to another bank. So the relationship should be with the company and the new bank. That is the common sense, correct? So existing charge details. So NSG Limited created a charge with bank A and the particulars was registered. So this is correct. So the registration established charge is valid and enforceable. Write in simple English like this and write clearly. So we are telling the examiner that we understand what is charge. Relationship is there between the NSG and bank A and charge is registered and charge is valid. So the examiner knows we understand the law very well. Now comes the real answer. So answer 2A continued. So answer 2A continued. Transfer or assignment of the charge. So now we come to the transfer or assignment of the charge. Okay. So when we said transfer or assignment of the charge, Bank A has assigned the charge to Bank B without altering the terms and conditions. They did not change anything. But when we look at section 77 subsection 3, when a charge is modified, and when we say modified, so everyone thinks charge modification means the term will get more or the money will be more or the interest will change. That is also there, but also it includes transfer or assignment of the charge. Company must file modified charge details with ROC within 30 days of modification. This is the crux of the answer. This is the star of the answer. This is the most important part of the answer. But remember that you may forget section 77 subsection 3, that number you may forget, it's okay. But you should not forget the fact that when a bank has assigned the charge, we have to make a modification and company is required for some filing requirement. So what is that filing requirement? Now NSG Limited must file form CHG1 if it is not related to debentures and form CHG9 if it is related to debentures for the assignment of the charge. To just, so in simple, what are we telling the ROC? You need to understand some basics. So we had a relationship NSG with bank A. Now it is going to become with bank B. The relationship has changed. But remember, NSG with bank A, we have informed registrar of companies and we have filed the charge and everything is in line. But now because bank A has sold or transferred all its loan portfolio to bank B, which includes this NSG charge, does the ROC know that this has happened? Does the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, the regulator, do they know this has happened? They don't know. So we need to inform them. That is the simple logic which you need to understand. We need to inform them. So again we need to inform ROC that NSG is now having a relationship with bank B, not because NSG did not want bank A, but bank A has transferred the entire loan to bank B, and that is why this arrangement is there. This is what we need to tell. And when we file that CHG1 or CHG9, if it is debentures, original charge, particulars of the assignee, consent of the assigner, consequences for non-compliance, so all these things have to be there. If modified charge is not filed within the ROC within the period, then company can face penalties. Charge may lose the priority against creditors and other claimants. So this is the final consequence. So please be practical in the answer. Write in simple language, write in conversational style, like how you talk to somebody. This is how you need to write this answer, and we have solved this question. Now let us move to the next question. Next question is very, very interesting, and yes, you need to have a little deep knowledge. Again I tell you, cannot leave anything in company law. Every chapter we need to study, because questions can come from different places in your question paper. Like this. Abbas is member of PTR Limited, unlisted company that has adopted the articles of the association, that is 84. So we need to know Schedule 1, Table F, Article 84 to answer this question, right? Yeah. So adjustment of dividends. So we need to know what is this 84 adjustment of dividend. Abbas owes to the company total sum of 10,000 rupees, broken down as follows. So this Abbas is a shareholder. Member means what? Shareholder of one company. And he owes to the company. He should pay money to the company. What should he pay? Call in arrear. So the company has called that call money, they told come and pay, but he has not paid 3,000. Next, unpaid securities premium. Previously, when the company has issued any securities with a premium, he has paid maybe face value, he has not paid the premium. So that is still pending. And the other debts is 2,000 rupees. So totally he has to give money to the company 10,000. Okay. Now the company has declared a dividend of 10,000 on the shares owed by Abbas. So what happens? Parallelly, company has declared dividend and Abbas should get 10,000 dividend. So company wants to adjust the total debt of Abbas against the dividend payable to him. Now company says, see, you should give us 10,000, correct? I'll just tell you. Abbas, correct? They are saying that as Abbas, you should give us 10,000. Now company has to give Abbas 10,000 because of the dividend. Company has to give Abbas 10,000 because of dividend. So now why don't we just adjust it? It's over. That is what the company is telling. But as per law, can they adjust like this? What they can deduct, what they can't deduct. See, in a normal way, if your friend has to give you 10,000 and then later for some reason you have to give your friend 10,000, you'll tell, hey, let us just settle the accounts. Anyway, you have to give, I have to give 10,000, 10,000 over in a normal scenario. But here we need to know very well what is Article 84 and then how that comes into picture for us to understand, correct? So can they do it as a company secretary? So what are you? You are company secretary. How would you respond to the company's proposal to adjust the debts against the dividend payable to Abbas in accordance with the provisions of Companies Act? So as per Companies Act, what will you tell? Can you tell this can be adjusted? You will be able to tell only when you know Article 84 of Table F, right? So let us look at it. So one thing which I want to tell you is for such kind of questions, because they're asking you, you are the company secretary, I'll tell you the answer, but one way to present the answer, is what I want to share right now, would be something like this. Okay. One way to present the answer would be to the company, correct? PQR Limited, or you can tell director, then the subject, correct? Article 84 of Table F. Article 84 of Table F. Okay, then what can be done? Dear sir, madam, whatever. You can just imagine, I'm telling you can imagine you're a company secretary and you're telling the answer to the director of company. Then tell the answer. Then you write regards or whatever best XYZ. Don't write your name, obviously. Company secretary, PQR Limited. So it's in form of a letter. This is a way to present. You don't have to do this, but you can do this if you want to. Now let us come to what is the actual answer. This is the answer, but I told you the presentation you can do how I told you. So relevant provision. So Article 127 of Companies Act talks about dividend due to a shareholder. Yes. Within 30 days of declaration of dividend, we must pay the dividend. Within 30 days, we should pay the dividend. That is the simple thing in the Companies Act with relating to the provisions, correct? However, adjustment against dues with the companies can be if the company has adopted table F. If company has adopted table F, then we can adjust the money. But what can be adjusted, what cannot be adjusted, we should see. Adjustment for calls in arrears. Calls in arrears adjustment, what should you do? 3000 rupees. So this is what is there. As per 84, the company can deduct calls in arrears from dividend of the shareholder. So therefore it is 3000 rupees. So in our scenario it is 3000 rupees. So if you see how much Abbas has to give company, calls in arrears, unpaid premium and other debts. So the answer is only calls in arrears can be adjusted as per Article 84 of Schedule F. So you cannot adjust these to other amounts, correct? So how should you write that? Adjustment for unpaid securities premium. This is where your knowledge comes. So you have to write securities premium is not a debt due payable by shareholder under table F. So it is not a debt as per the table F. It is a capital related liability. Therefore, no adjustment can be made with the amount relating to dividend. Now company cannot say we should give you 10,000 rupees dividend, but you have to give us 3,000 rupees calls in arrears, we'll adjust. Yes, that they can adjust. They can adjust. Just now we saw. But unpaid securities premium also will adjust? No, it is not allowed. Similarly, other debts against the dividend is not permitted for articles of association. Since no specific provision exists, adjustment is not valid. So I have told what is the law. I have told what can be adjusted, what cannot be adjusted. Now I need to conclude my answer. That is where your real knowledge to get full marks will be there. As a company secretary, you should advise the following. What is it? What? Amount only 3000 can be adjusted, not the entire 10,000. So PTR Limited must pay 7,000 rupees to Mr. Abbas. PTR should pay 7,000 to Mr. Abbas within 30 days of the declaration of the dividend. So 5,000, that is unpaid security premium, 2,000 other debts cannot be adjusted and should be recovered separately. So you are telling like a company secretary, you are not just telling, oh, it can't be adjusted. It can't be adjusted, plus if you want to recover that 7,000, that is a separate process. You cannot connect it with Article 84 and this dividend declaration. Yes, your company has adopted Article 84 in your the table F into your articles, correct? But you can't, because it allows only things relating to the calls in arrears. So this is the clear and simple. If you see, the English is very simple, the logic is very clear. You're telling what can be done, what cannot be done, and you're telling what is the law, which is the most important thing, right? I hope you're getting how to answer the questions. I hope you're enjoying this solved paper. At least I really enjoyed solving it and presenting it to you. I hope you too are enjoying. Actually, one more thing, while we are solving this, also kind of revision, because we are seeing so many provisions, we are going deep into it. So this can be very, very high value content for your video, for your exam, sorry. So please watch this video till the end. RK Info Private Limited is the next question to see. So if you see one thing, these are all 3 marks. You may say, so for 3 marks we should write so much. See, I am giving you the ideal answer. I am giving you what is the complete knowledge which is required for that. In that you can present it in a small way, but the crux of the answer should remain. Like in the previous question, Abbas, I've written so much. You cannot write so much, I know that, but you can write in simple also. As per Article 84 of Table F, only calls in arrears can be adjusted with dividend. Other things cannot be. So only 3,000 can be adjusted. Balance 7,000 should be paid. You can write that. But for me to explain to you and write the entire logic and how you should think about it, I have done like this. So even if you can't write like every single line like how I have done in so much detail, it's fine because it is for 3 marks and you have very less time. You have like 4 minutes or 5 minutes to write 3 marks question. So don't think the presentation should be exactly how I have presented. I've also told you how you can present with that letter format and all. The answer, what is the answer, how to think about the answer, what all should be written is I'm telling you. You can shorten it, you have to make it short and right because you have less time. Right, next question. Let us go to the next question. RK Info Limited has the following details of financials. Paid up capital 60 crore, turnover 180 crore and deposits 30 crore. So first thing we need to understand, when you read the question, identify the keywords. I have told this many times, but again, this is the IQCQ framework which I have done. Our students have used it. They have got 65 plus, they have got 70 plus in company law. And I'm very happy when students follow what we tell. So please follow it. So IQCQ, what is it? It is simple. I stands for identify keywords. When you read the question, only identify keywords. This is the framework to read questions, and when you read question well, you can write answer also well. Q, what type of question is it? Is it explain? Is it drafting? Is it difference between? So understand type of question. Next C, what concept? Because you study so much. Now I'll give you a simple example. Just now we did this Abbas. So let us say dividend. You have studied so much about dividends. Section 123 to section 127 you have studied in detail. But the question is one very specific thing. Question is just one specific thing about adjustment of dividend and whether when company adopts table F, and can the company adjust the dividend with the dues from the shareholder? Can they adjust the amount and pay the balance of the dividend? That is the question. But when you study dividend, you study all of it. Questions are very specific. That is why when I say C, what is the exact concept they're wanting to test you? Correct? IQ. Identify the keywords. What is the type of question? Correct? Then most important thing is what? What is the concept they're trying to test you? And then you have quickly planning your answer. Quickly plan the answer and write. When I say quickly plan, which is Q, you have 10 to 20 seconds. You don't read the question and simply start writing. Think what all you are going to write and you write. And if you have studied well, whatever you think, you will get the answer properly if you have applied it, if you have practiced writing. So at our Excel Academy, students write weekly test every single week and we correct it every single week. So that is why they are very confident to go and write the exam. So you need that kind of practice. Coming back to the question. See, when I say IQ, identify keywords, private limited, first thing we should know, okay, this is a private limited company. So many of the provisions is not applicable. We know that, right? So we need to identify that. And they have the following financials. So company is planning to appoint Mr. Salim, right? Who is currently whole-time company secretary as the internal auditor. Can the company appoint whole-time CS as internal auditor? We have to see. So what should we answer? What is the question? Is RK Limited required to appoint internal auditor? So as per Companies Act, should this company even have internal auditor? Correct. And next, can company secretary whose whole-time employment with company be appointed as internal auditor for the same company according to the provisions of Companies Act? So can you appoint the same person as internal auditor? Because he is a full-time company secretary. Very, very good question. So here, before we even tell the answer, I'm just showing you Companies Accounts Rules 2014. So this question is specifically about rule number, hope you can see it, rule number 13. This is a screenshot from the Bear Act and the rules. Rule number 13, companies required to appoint internal auditor. So this question is about this, and we are talking about private company, because see, when we read the question says private limited. So it's a private company, correct? So we need to directly go and see applicability for private company. Of course, this is not the answer. The answer is here. I'll tell you how you should write. Answer 2C 1. Why? Because there are two sub questions here, correct? The first sub question is what? As per section 138, the companies should have mandatory internal auditor for following kind of companies. See, again, you can't write all this in exam. I'm telling you the ideal thing. You don't have so much time, but to make you understand, I'm just giving you more details. Please keep that in mind. Otherwise, you'll tell, sir, how to write so much? It is just 3 marks question. You don't have to. See, when I tell you all this, you'll know what is the answer and you can write it in a short format, which is to the point. Okay? Please remember that. So, listed company, unlisted company, okay, which is having the criteria. Paid up share capital 50 crore, turnover 200 crore, outstanding loans and borrowings of 100 crores, and outstanding deposit 25 crore. You don't have to write this at all. Why? Our question is about private limited, but I'm giving you the context of rule number 13. Rule number 13 of the company's accounts rules. So like I told you, this video is also like a small revision. You can actually start writing the answer directly from here. Private company should have following criteria to have a internal auditor as per Companies Act, rule number 13, section 138. What is it? Turnover of 200 crores or more in the previous year and outstanding loans and borrowing of 100 crores or more at any point during the previous financial year. This you can write the answer like this. So the person who's correcting paper knows, okay, this student knows that in the question we told private limited. So for private limited, internal auditor is compulsory, but only in two scenarios, turnover and borrowing 200 crore, 100 crore. Okay, student knows this. Now can the student apply this to the question? Application to RK Info Limited. Write like this. Please connect the words in the question to the answer. Don't write something simply what you have written in the, what you have read in the book. See, tomorrow when somebody is asking you a question, it is about their company, it is their problem. You need to solve their problem specifically, correct? Right. RK Info Limited is a private company with the following financial details. Paid up capital 60 crore, turnover 80 crore, outstanding deposit 30 crore. So turnover is below 200 crore, correct? See, turnover is 180 crore. So as per turnover, we don't need internal audit. But do we have any outstanding? Yes, we have outstanding of 30 crore. But see here, this is what they're testing. For public companies, that is why I told you also to make you understand. Outstanding deposits of 25 crore or more during the financial year, if you're a public limited company, listed or unlisted, you need to have internal auditor. But why they've given the number of 30 crore? To confuse you. Why? For private company, it is not 25 crore. For private company, it is 100 crore. So you have to write, and this does not have the exceeding of 100 crore. So it is 30 crore. So RK Info Limited is not required to appoint internal auditor. If you write this, then the examiner knows, okay, the student knows that for public company it is 25 crore, but for private company 100 crore outstanding loans and borrowing should be there if they have to appoint internal auditor. This is mandatory provision. So when I was telling this in class, so one student said, sir, what if some company wants to appoint internal auditor? Even if they don't have applicability, they want to appoint. If they want to, they can. Remember, in law, we study only mandatory things. See, there is a company, I am telling you, there are so many companies, they don't have to appoint company secretary as per company law. They don't have to. Means they can have a external person or a PCS. Why did they appoint a full-time company secretary? It is not mandatory. Why did they appoint? Because they have a need. That is their wish. So similarly, if this company wants to have, it is fine. But we are trying to understand the law. Should they do it? Is it mandatory? What is the minimum requirement? So here it is not required at all. So we write that this company need not appoint the internal auditor at all. And the second part of the question talks about, can company secretary, who is the whole time employment of the company, be the internal auditor as per the company? Very nice question, where, see, again I'm telling you, this whole question paper when I read and when I was solving, The question paper is not testing something which is out of the syllabus or something which is very complicated. All the concepts which are tested are very simple things which you have studied section 138. You have studied charges. They are not asking you difficult things. The problem is students are finding it difficult to apply the question, connect the concept, write the answer. That is because you never practiced writing answers. That is the real reason. So actually the question paper and the concepts tested are very simple concepts they are testing you. They are not testing some complicated concepts, which is very good. So you need to learn the art of reading the question paper, understanding the question, practicing to write the answers. Because if you do that, the question paper is actually very easy and the concepts are all the concepts which you know. So when I solved this paper and I told some of my students before I made this video, they said that, sir, I knew all of this. If you know all of this, you should have practiced writing. You knew all the concepts. I hope you're getting it, right? Yeah. So coming back to this question, second part, can company secretary be appointed as internal auditor because that person is whole-time employment? Internal auditor can be CA, cost accountant, or any other employee capable of conducting internal audit. So you'll tell, oh, employee can be, so we can have them as internal auditor. But for whole-time company secretary, there is a restriction. Why? See, the person who is responsible for maintaining independence cannot be internal auditor. See, company secretary has a role to do the compliance. So he cannot come again in another role and say, I am the internal auditor, I am company secretary also, and everything done by company secretary is correct. It is like you telling, I will only write the exam, I will only correct it. You can't, right? You need somebody else to correct your exam paper. Similar over here. Whole-time company secretary is having the duty to ensure compliance and governance standards of the company. So having the responsibility of internal audit will harm the independence for the audit. See, what is audit? External person should come and audit. External person should come and audit. Correct? You, like I told you, you cannot write an answer. You can't write an exam and tell I will only correct it. Can you only write, you only correct? No, there is no meaning. Similarly over here. So Salim, who is, see, write the conclusions like this. Write the conclusion. Person correcting the paper will really appreciate, because this question has like a lot of logic you need to use, right? So write the final answer, conclusion in one sentence. Salim, who is the whole-time company secretary, cannot be appointed as internal auditor due to the conflict of roles and lack of independence. His conflict of role, he is company secretary, he has to take care of compliance, governance. Then he will only come in another avatar and tell, okay, everything is correct, internal auditor is I'm an internal auditor, everything is correct. Even what company secretary did is correct. So it doesn't work like that. So that is not possible. So that is the simple answer for you. Hope you are getting it. Yes. So now let us move to the next question. Let us move to the next question. And this question is related to concept of siphoning of the fund. So what is this? Let us try and understand. Debentures. We have already studied debentures. So what is the provisions related over here? Debenture trustee of DC Limited. So first thing, again, understand the keywords. It is a public limited company. Okay. So debenture trustee has observed that company's management. So debenture trustee saw that company's management is cheating and siphoning of the funds, leading to financial losses of the debenture holder. So there is a lot of loss for the debenture holders. Is the situation valid reason for debenture trustee to make an application to NCLT? So debenture trustee is the person who should manage the entire money of debenture. He feels company management directors are cheating. Can he go to NCLT, right? To make an investigation? Is the debenture trustee competent to make application to tribunal? So can they go to the tribunal and make the application? If so, who is the competent authority to appoint the inspector to conduct the investigation? Explain with reference to Companies Act. So when you read the question here, you're getting a clue to the answer. I'll tell you how. See here this question. If so, who is the competent authority to appoint? So this question is answer to the previous question. Is the debenture trustee competent to make application to tribunal? Sir, I don't know, sir. Even if you don't know, this question has answer. If so, who is the competent authority? So when they say if so, simple English, it says that yes, they can go. So many times in the question you get small clues. You will not get the question will not have your entire answer, but at least it will give you clue of yes or no, what it can be done, yes, or it cannot be done. The way the English, the drafting of the English only, if you read it, you will understand the concept. Yeah. Next, the answer for this. So that is the question. We have understood that debenture trustee feels that this company is siphoning off the funds and debenture holders are getting affected, right? Now, validity of application for investigation. Debenture trustee can apply to NCLT. First you tell, yes, they can apply. And this is under section 213. If you forget the section, it's okay. But if you remember the section, you get extra marks. Please understand that. If you forget the section, they will not cut marks. But if you remember the section, they'll give you extra marks. So please remember that. So they can go to NCLT for mismanagement, etc. Competence of debenture trustee. Can debenture trustee go? Do they have the authority in law? Representative of the debenture holder. Who is the debenture trustee? He has to manage the debenture holders, manage the money, safeguard their interest, right? They are empowered and they can go protect the interest of the debenture holders. Authority to appoint the inspector. So who is the authority? The tribunal, after finding sufficient grounds, can direct central government to appoint the inspectors and they can go. So again, see here, in every answer, I have tried to include conclusion. So conclusion is like summary of your answer to tell the examiner, see boss, I know the answer very well. I'm even writing the answer in one line in the end. Please give me the full marks. Right? So debenture trustee has the right to go to the tribunal for cases for suspected fraud or mismanagement. If it is justified, the tribunal can initiate investigation to safeguard the debenture holders. See, end of the day, what are we doing? We are protecting the debenture holders. We are protecting the shareholders in general. But in this question, we are protecting debenture holders. So if you see my last line, very carefully I have used the words that the tribunal can initiate investigation. See, can he go apply? Can he go to NCLT? Yes, he can. But most importantly, the tribunal to safeguard the debenture holders can do the investigation and give the right solution. So this is the complete answer which you have to write. Next question. I hope you are liking this solved video. So please do give a thumbs up. Please do like. Please do comment. Lot of effort has gone to solve this question paper. So please give a thumbs up. Yeah. Next, question number 2E. Right? This is 2E. S Limited has the equity shares with voting rights which are pari passu. Pari passu means on the same rights. So different issues with the same rights are there. X Limited, Y Limited, Z Limited hold 20% equity share in S Limited. Okay. So there is one company S Limited. Let us understand that. Correct. Then there is another company X, Y, Z. Three different companies. They hold 20% share in S. So in this S Limited, 40% is held by others and XYZ together is holding 60%, right? The remaining 40% are by retail investors, that is the regular investors. So this is the first, understand the question. So when you read the question paper, if you feel I should write like this and understand, write in a pencil. You can always erase it. Write in a pencil on your question paper like this. Okay, S Limited has 60% shares which is X, Y and Z, they have 20% each and others have 40%. So understand the question well properly. Now R Limited controls the composition of the directors of X Limited. R Limited. So there is another company now, R Limited, okay. It is controlling X Limited, means maximum directors of X company are from the R company, R Limited, right? Companies of X Limited, Y Limited and Z. So for all the three, they are controlling. So indirectly, what are the question? Based on the provisions of Companies Act, can I say R Limited is holding company of S Limited? Can I say R Limited is holding company of S Limited is the question. I think you understood the question first. So there is one company S Limited. So in the 100% shares of that, 60% is held by three companies X, Y, Z, 40% is by others. So we are not bothered about this right now. Somebody is having 40%, okay. Question is, this X, Y and Z, they are three separate companies, but in all the companies, there is another company called R. R Limited, correct? Controls X, Y and Z, not by shares. R Limited does not have much of shares of X, Y, Z. They're telling R Limited has maximum directors in X, Y, Z. So can I say now that R Limited is holding S Limited? Can I say R Limited is holding S Limited is the question. Very nice question. So for this, the answer, we need to analyze it very well. Answer 2E. As per provisions of Companies Act, we need to first see what? 2 subsection 46, company qualifies as holding company or not for composition of the board of directors of another company. So you know very well, when I say holding subsidiary, it can be holding by way of shareholding or maximum board of directors. Now I'll tell you in simple, I have a company, you have a company, okay. In your company, there are 5 directors. In your company, how many directors are there? 5 directors are there, okay. But in the 5 directors, 3 directors are also director in my company. So in my company, 3 of my directors are directors in your company. I may be holding 0 shares in your company. I may be holding how many shares? 0 shares in your company. But in your company board of directors, my shares is 0. But in board of directors, you have 5, but 3 are my directors. That means indirectly I control your company. See, in board meeting, if 5 directors are there, any decision you need 3 people to vote. So I am controlling your board. So that means my company is holding your company. You are my subsidiary. That is the holding subsidiary provision. Of course, that I will tell in detail in the class, but now to answer here, company qualifies as holding company if it controls composition of board of directors. I explained just now to you, or exercises control of more than half the share capital. So here there is no share capital involved, either on its own or together with one or more of the subsidiary companies. So this is the real answer for us, either on its own or together with other subsidiary companies. So this is what important. Why? Because XYZ is there. So now you are writing what is the provision. You are telling how one company can become holding and subsidiary relationship. You are telling that. Very good. Now analysis of the case. Equity shareholding of S Limited. Equity shareholding of S Limited. So XYZ are holding 20% of equity shares in S Limited. XYZ are holding 20% equity share in S Limited. Correct? But remaining 40% is held by retail investor. Actually, this is not very relevant for us. I am just mentioning. No single company holds majority of equity shares. So in our S Limited, nobody is holding majority. 40% is retail investor. That is so many people. Somebody is having 1%, 0.5%, less than that. Everyone together is 40%. And the other maximum holding is each company 20%. So by shareholding, there is no holding company, because there is no one company which holds more than 50%. Correct. But what about the directors? Composition of the board of directors. What happens here? R Limited controls X, Y and Z. So we have R Limited which controls X, Y and Z. So can I tell R is controlling S indirectly? By controlling X, Y, Z, R Limited indirectly influences 60% of the equity shares of yes. Yes or no? See, Nest Limited, whatever happens, X, Y, Z together have to vote. But for X, Y, Z to vote, in X, Y and Z, R Limited controls the directors, not shareholders, but directors. Once you control director also, you are holding that company, correct? The control over the board of directors of S Limited fulfills the condition of controlling the composition of the board, making R Limited holding company of yes. This is, see, if you see here, I have used simple language. I have not used some complicated law, but I have told the logic, I have told the flow. That is all they expect. Please remember, the person correcting the paper is just like you and me. They are not some computer. At least as of now, human beings are correcting our paper. They want simple English. Please remember that. Even if computer corrects, they will want simple English. Conclusion. R Limited qualifies as the holding company based on its control over the composition of the board of directors. Right? Because X, Y and Z is held by R, indirectly R is holding S as per the provisions of Companies Act 2 subsection 46. So I hope you understood it. Very, very beautiful kind of question, and that is how you need to analyze it. So that comes to the end of question number 2. Now we will go to question number 3. Yes, we will be moving to question number 3 right now, and that is Goody logistics. Goody. Okay. So this is a question relating to offer and all those things. So let us quickly look at the question. Goody Logistics offered 1 lakh equity shares of rupees 10 each to select group of people, which is 250 people, and in that 250, 60 were qualified institutional buyers, QIB. The share application money was received by the company on 1st August 2024. Company failed. See, understand the question. Keywords. See, when you read such a large question, there will be some keywords. Company has failed to allot the shares by 30th of September 2024. Okay. During this period, company utilized the money to pay interest on a cash credit limit by the banker. So what did the company do? The company has failed to allot, but they utilized the money to pay. Company secretary raised objection for the utilization of the share application money. Company secretary said, you can't use that money. How can you use that money for interest payment, and suggested CFO to refund it to the share applicants with 12% per annum. So if you refund it, you can't use the money. Refund the money plus also give the 12% per annum as per the company law. From 1st October 2024. CFO holds the view that interest will be payable from 15th October. CFO says, okay, we'll repay, but interest is from 15th October as per Companies Act. Considering the provisions of Companies Act, examine the validity of offer made to the select group of people. Can we make offer to 250 people? I'll tell you, don't worry. As well as objection made by company secretary to CFO. So company secretary says you must repay, but interest should be paid from 1st October. CFO says no, we'll repay interest from 15th October. That is my interpretation. But what is the real answer? What is the real answer? That is what we need to look at. So in Companies Act, following provisions we need to see. Validity of offer for 250 people. That is the question. So directly go to the answer. No need of stories, right? So private placement criteria, when you see section 42, we can make private placement to 200 persons. And say, sir, we made for 250, it is wrong. Wait a minute. In this 250 people, 60 are QIBs, and after excluding QIBs, so we don't have to include QIBs to calculate 200. correct? That is why the offer to 190%, see 250 minus 60 is 190. So it is within the private placement criteria. Offer is valid. Many students have written wrong answer for this. They've simply, see, be patient, read properly. They read, okay, 250 people. Okay, I read, I know only 200 people is allowed. But in that 250, 60 are QAB. QAB is not counted when we calculate this maximum 200% for offer. So this offer is valid. Many students have got this answer wrong. In the WhatsApp groups where I am there, I have seen this. But this is the answer, my friends. Non-allotment of shares within 60 days. So next concept is non-allotment. See, when I'm writing the answer, I'm writing point wise. First point is about that offer to 250. I wrote the answer, I gave the justification, I gave the law. Next is non-allotment within 60 days. So if you look at the rule, see again, if you don't remember the rule number, see, to give a model answer, I have to give the perfection, correct? If you can't remember exact rule number, don't worry, but you can write as per the company's prospectus allotment of security rules. That much you should know. Securities must be allotted within 60 days. In this case, money was received 1st August, but shares was not allotted by 30th September. So this violates the 60-day requirement. So we have exceeded 60 days. Why? In August there are 31 days and in September 30 days. We have already exceeded 60 days. So now refund of money. So if you don't allot, you should refund money. Now, if shares are not allotted within 60 days, application money must be refunded to applicants within 15 days thereafter. So within 15 days thereafter, we must refund it. That is by 15th October as per the section 42 subsection 6. If you don't remember section number, again, don't worry. If it is not refunded within the period, company has to repay 12% per annum from 61st day. From 61st day, they have to pay the 12% per annum. And that is what the company secretary said. But CFO said, no, it is from 15th. Company failed to allot and did not refund the money by 15th October. Therefore, company has to pay interest 12% per annum from 1st October 2024 and not 15th October as suggested by CFO. So CFO said 15th October, but actually it is from 1st October. Why? The law says that from the 61st day we have to pay interest. From 61st day itself we have to pay interest. And the CFO got confused that it is because it says that if not allotted, the application money should be refunded within 15 days thereafter. So he thought, okay, from 15 days we have to think, and then interest. Interest is from the 61st day itself. And that is the thing. That is the answer. One more thing, just as a joke I'm telling you, okay, don't take this seriously. Tell me one thing, will a company secretary ICSI question paper have a question saying that company secretary said something, CFO said something, and will the answer be that CFO is correct and company secretary is wrong? It can't be correct. So ICSI will make a question. If it tells company secretary said something, that will be right. This is one small logic for you. Of course, take it as a joke. I have told you the right answer. So they cannot have a question which says that, oh, company secretary was wrong. Anyway, take that lightly. Don't take it too seriously. I'm just telling you, when I read the question paper, I thought like that. Next question will go 3B. Okay, we're going to 3B. So please remember, please don't forget the order. So we are in 3A, as you can see here, 3A. We have answered this 3A. Now we are going to 3B. 3B, what is this 3B? Soya product is operating successfully for several years. In the financial year, the company reported increase in revenue and profit. So company has more profit. In 24-25, whistleblower within the company revealed financial statement for 2021 were manipulated. Whistleblower, one of the person in the company who identified the fraud. We call them as whistleblower, means they have identified fraud and we should protect them. So whistleblower. So this concept is from, like in the ship, if anything comes, there's a person who will blow the whistle, oh, danger is there. So that is how it comes. Anyway, whistleblower filed complaint to the central government supporting documents. So whistleblower said, in 2021 there is a fraud and I have seen it, I know it. Central government did investigation on the evidence given by this employee who we call now whistleblower, and said that accounts should be reopened and financial statement should be recast. So this is our section 130. If you remember, this concept is there. Referring to provisions of Companies Act, examine the feasibility. Can I do the reopening, recasting of financial statements of 2021? So this question is directly about section 130. Reopening under section 130. Usually when we study section 127 to 148, 128 to 148, 128 to 148, accounts and auditors. Students will skip this 130. Hey, this is not important. 128, 129 is important. But they asked a question from 130. So that is why I tell you can't do selective study in company secretary course. Please. So authority to reopen. Financial statement can be reopened by NCLT. How? Fraudulent operation, mismanagement of the company. Process. Company should be given opportunity to be heard. Recast occurs with strict guidance of the authority. You can't. Recast means what? You have made a balance sheet. Recast means you have to make it from zero again because there is a fraud. Reopening, recasting, completely doing it again. Okay, from zero. That is recasting. So in soya product. So first if you observe now in all my answers, first I'm telling what is the law. Because as an examiner, they're testing whether you know the law. Second is application. So the question is about soya product. So in answer you should write soya product. Students do this mistake. They don't even write that word soya product or basically the company name in the question. They don't write in answer. Don't do that mistake. Write the law, then apply that law to the case law which has been given and write the answer. Whistleblower complaint. Central government found evidence that in 2021 there is a fraud and it has to be recast. So reopening of financial statement is legally valid. In Soya Product Limited must comply with the directions and it should report the true financial performance. That is how you should write. So when you write the law, then connect it and apply and write a conclusion, you will get full marks. Simple as that. Now, and these are all 5 marks questions. As you can see, these are all 5 marks questions. Now we come to 3C. Now we come to 3C. RSV Private Limited, incorporated 5 years ago, passed a special resolution during AGM. They passed a special resolution in AGM to issue 10 lakh sweat equity shares at a discount to class of directors and permanent employees. So there is a company, they said we'll issue sweat equity shares to directors and permanent employees. Okay. Alright. The company's latest financial statement showed issued subscribed paid up capital 5 crores divided into 50 lakh equity shares of 10 rupees each. Now with Companies Act, assess validity of issuing 10 lakh equity shares with lock-in period of 5 years. So can I issue equity shares of 10 lakh equity shares, 10 lakh equity shares with 5 years lock-in? Now, would your answer change if RSV were classified as startup company as defined by Ministry of Commerce Industry, Government of India? See, again there is a clue. 1 and 2. The second question they are asking, would your answer change? The answer is obviously yes. Yes, my answer will change. Otherwise the question will not be framed like this. Okay, but why the answer will change is the answer you have to write. So is the validity of this there? Okay. How do we analyze this? Validity of issuing certificate shares with lock-in period of 5 years. That is what we should do. Section 54. We can issue sweat equity shares by special resolution, and resolution should specify number of shares, current market price and other terms of the issue. Okay, that we have done. Lock-in period. So I am telling the law. What is the law about section 54? Then about the lock-in period. If security shares is issued, they come with minimum lock-in of 3 years as per the law, right? Company can voluntarily impose lock-in period such as 5 year, and this is what is RSV. So minimum is 3. So in this RSV, special resolution is passed, lock-in period is 5 years. It complies with 54. The voluntary lock-in period beyond 3 years is not prohibited and therefore it is valid. This is the simple English logic, the flow which you have to write. See, it's so simple, correct? What is so difficult to write like this? Students think, oh, I have to write exactly Companies Act, exactly Section 54. No. In real life also, I repeat, when you are a company secretary, company comes with a problem, you have to explain in their own language, in simple words, you have to explain to them. And you have to tell the law, you have to tell how the law applies to that particular company. That is our job, right? Yes. Next part of the question is change in answer. Will your answer change? Companies Act along with Ministry of Commerce Industry has given some guidelines for startups. Startup can issue sweat equity shares up to 50% of paid up capital compared to 25% for a startup company which is having that. So how is the impact on the validity? If it is a startup, the proposed issuance of 10 lakh equity shares with lock-in period of 5 years becomes even more favorable under startup specific relaxation. Lock-in period remains valid and issuance of sweat equity shares would also fall permissible. So it is allowed. So conclusion, sweat equity shares 5 years lock-in period is valid. ROC Limited qualifies as startup and additional relaxations it will have. Okay. So that is the simple way to answer this question. This is a simple way to answer the question. Now we are going to 4 or 4A. Okay. You have 4 or 4A. So you'll have 3 different questions. Again, it is like 15 marks, right? So as you can see, 5 marks question, correct? In 4 you have 3 questions, in 4A you have 3 questions. So you need to select any one. You can write 4 or 4A. But of course, for the video and for solving, I will be solving all the 6 questions, but in exam you should write only 3. So as you can read, I hope you can read it. Now we'll go to the next question number 4 in that 4A. Yes, so now we are going to question number 4. In 4 we have 4A, okay, small a. I don't know why, I really feel the question should be more simple. I feel something like 4 and 5 should be, so you should write 4 or 5. But I don't know why they made it as 4 or 4A. And again under 4 you have 4 small a. So it could be a little confusing for students. But that is another way which ICSI is making your life more hard. We have to accept it. Alright. Now let us come quickly to this question number 4. Small letter a, first question, which is again a 5 marks question. So here they're talking about dividends. See, again I'm telling you, we'll read the question, we'll solve it. The question is about a simple concept which you already know if you have done basic study of your ICSI material. It's very simple. Section 123, dividends. Simple. But the question is formed in such a way that you need to apply your mind and write that concept. Right. Let us get into this. So there is a company, Chitra Developers Limited, and it adopted Articles of Association as per table F, and it held a board meeting, okay, and on 1st February, they have declared interim dividend of 10%. The dividend amount was transferred to separate bank account. Yeah, they declared dividend, they put the amount in a separate bank account. So they did it right, correct? But then the problem happens. The subsequent, within the prescribed, however, subsequent board meeting on 10th February. So 1st February, they declared dividend, they made a separate bank account, they put the amount. But 10th February, what did they do? They revoked the dividend, they revoked interim dividend. So they said what we did on 1st February is taken back. We don't want that decision. The separate bank account was closed and dividend was transferred back to company's general bank account. So just by reading the question, you know that this is wrong. Anyway, in the board meeting on 5th August, so later that year in August, so 1st February is one board meeting, 10th February is another board meeting, and yet another board meeting is 5th August. Financial statement for the year was approved and board made a final dividend. So here they did interim dividend. But interim dividend they did not give. They opened bank account and then they revoked the decision. They closed the bank account. They put back the money in company account. So something is wrong. Later they said we'll do final dividend. Okay. On 10th September 2024, they had the annual general meeting of the company and they made a final dividend of 20%. Why? They said that earlier we revoked interim dividend. That is why now we will make 20% as the final dividend. So 10 plus 10. So we'll do adjustment is what they're telling. Now the question is whether the board's decision to declare dividend and revoke it, is it correct? Specify date which the company should have deposited interim dividend amount into separate bank account. So did they do right by revoking? Was the decision correct? And when they should have done it properly. Next, whether shareholder decision to declare final dividend at 20% instead of 10% is legally valid. So can shareholder say we'll do 20% instead of 10%? Is it valid? So let us see the answer for this. So answer for the first point, validity declaring and revoking interim dividend. So as per 123 subsection 3, company may declare interim dividend during financial year out of the surplus of the profits. We know that. However, this is where the company made a mistake. Once the interim dividend is declared and approved, it becomes liability of company and shareholders are entitled for the same. Once you declare it, you have to make bank account and you have to put the money and you have to distribute the money. You can't take it back. Correct? Revoking interim dividend itself is wrong and the company's separate bank account is not valid unless the amount has been paid to shareholders. Just because you declared you made a separate bank account, your job is not over. That money should go to the hands of the shareholder. But here it did not go to hands of shareholder. They have taken back. Correct? As per the rule, interim dividend must be within 5 days. You should open a separate bank account within 5 days of declaration. The company declared interim dividend. The amount should have been deposited by 6th February. That is within 5 days and money should have gone to the shareholders. But they did not do it. So company made a mistake. Second part of the question. Now shareholder decision, they said that we'll do 20% instead of 10%. Is it valid? Board of directors said final dividend is 10%. Shareholder said 20. Shareholders authority as per section 102 read with 123. Final dividend is recommended by board of directors and approved by shareholders. However, shareholders cannot increase the final dividend beyond the board. Shareholders cannot increase final dividend. See, even if you don't know this, well, so common logic, why this is not allowed? Who gets dividend? Shareholders. So if you ask them, do you want more? They'll say yes. So if I tell you, do you want more money? You'll tell yes. So they cannot approve. So the logic and the law, both are connected. Logic is, I told you. And what is the law? The law is board of directors will recommend the dividend. Shareholders will approve it. Shareholders cannot increase that because they will know, they will tell, oh, you are giving us only 10. We are shareholders. We want 50%. So directors have been given power on Companies Act. Shareholders can approve it. They cannot increase the rate, right? So application to our case. So when you see this, what is application to our case? The question, board proposed 10% final dividend. Shareholders have decided to declare 20%, which is not legally valid. Just write clear, simple. What shareholder did is wrong. Then conclusion, board decision to revoke interim dividend is not valid under the law. Shareholder decision to increase the final dividend is beyond the board's recommendation and is not permissible. So if you see the conclusion, I have written the answer for first part and second part of the question in one line. What board did is wrong. They cannot revoke the dividend, close the bank account, take back the money, completely wrong. And shareholders cannot increase the 10% to 20%. So when you write like this, you will get complete 5 marks. It is like maths. You get the marks. Okay. Right. So now we will go to 4 small b. I get little irritated, but we can't help it. 4 small b. Next question. Alpha Limited owns 100% equity shares of Beta Limited. So Alpha Limited is 100% owner of Beta Limited, which means wholly owned subsidiary. Company have proposed a scheme of merger amalgamation under 232 where Beta Limited will be merged into Alpha. So Alpha is owning Beta. They want to get merged because we are owning 100%. Let us merge and become one. Both companies have submitted to NCLT. They want approval of the scheme without convening meeting of equity shareholders, secured creditors. They said we don't want any meetings. We are the wholly owned subsidiary. So we just want to go ahead and merge. We have no objection. We don't want to do meetings. Whether NCLT has the jurisdiction to dispense with requirements of conducting the meeting. So can NCLT say, okay, you don't need the meetings? We'll tell you. That is why it's wholly owned subsidiary, no? For sanctioning the scheme. Additionally, elaborate on the key factors tribunal will consider before issuing the appropriate order. See here, the question is elaborate, means we have to write in detail. That is why I say, I come back to my IQCQ. Identify the keywords. What is the type of question? We have to elaborate here. Correct? What is the concept they're asking? Merger between company and wholly owned subsidiary. What are the exceptions? And then quickly plan your answer and write it over here. Okay, so now let us come. So under 232 of the Companies Act, NCLT has authority to approve scheme of merger amalgamation. Alpha and Beta, which owns 100%, has sought approval for the merger. Correct? Jurisdiction. NCLT has jurisdiction to dispense with the requirements of the meeting. So NCLT can tell meetings are not required. You can do the merger without the meetings because consent by the stakeholders is given. All the equity shareholders have given consent. There is no meeting, but they've given the consent. Correct? And the tribunal must ensure that the dispensation does not cause prejudice to the stakeholders. So we need to understand before dispensing the requirements, tribunal will evaluate some things. What is that? 100% ownership. Correct? Written consent, whether written consent is given. And then they will look at it. Finally, the legal compliance. The scheme must comply with the legal provisions. Even if meetings are not there, legal provision should be there. Report from authorities should be given and then it can be done. So in final, Alpha and Beta provide sufficient written consent from all shareholders, creditors. So everybody has agreed and it is a wholly owned subsidiary. Scheme complies with the law. NCLT can dispense with the meetings. The tribunal will issue its order after verifying the proposed arrangement and it is legally compliant. Simple. So when you write step by step like this, it becomes very easy to understand. So next we will go to 4C. This is the next question, 4C. Yes, now we will be going ahead with 4C like I just told you. This is a question relating to debentures. Again, students usually don't study this very seriously, but a 5 marks question which is very nice because it is divided into 3 parts. Whenever question is divided into further parts, it's good news for you because you know that, okay, so each question is 2 marks or 1 mark, and if you write the answer, they have to give you the marks. So the more the question is divided, it is better for you. Let us go ahead. So here there is a company called Greenfield and it is engaged in large scale infrastructure project. They want to raise funds. They are raising 100,000 means 1 lakh non-convertible secured debenture with face value of 100 each. So how much are they raising? 1 lakh. So 1 crore amounting to 1 crore. Debentures carry interest of 9% per annum. So 9% per annum is the interest which they are carrying. It is redeemable after 17 years from date of issue. 17 years. It was issued on 1st April 2022. So they are giving you some facts. Now, one student asked me, sir, why is the question so long? Why are the questions so long? See, it's because even in real life, as a company secretary, the problems which company have are multiple. So they're testing you like that. and you have to learn how to read fast. You have to learn how to read fast. Otherwise, it's difficult for you to write the answers, right? Okay, great. To protect the interest of the debenture holders, company appoints one debenture trustee. Company appoints debenture trustee. Debenture trustee noted that the company defaulted on payment of interest for 2 consecutive years, specifically for 23 and 24. So, debenture trustee says company is not paying the most important part, 9% debenture. 9%, because what is debenture? End of the day, people are giving loan to the company. Company has to repay the interest, but they have not repaid. Okay. Now, tell me whether validity of redemption of period of debentures. Can we have a debenture for 17 years? Mandatory compliance requirement for debenture trustee. What is it? Including time limit for the appointment and execution of the trust deed. Then circumstances under which duty of the debenture trustee is to appoint the nominee director of the board of the company. So when you should appoint the nominee director. So there are 3 parts. Totally it is a 5 marks question. 5 marks question. So how will you write the answer to this question? You can actually write, say I've used one sentence here. To answer this question, let's analyze the relevant provisions of Companies Act. Like I told you before, it is like talking. It is like talking to the person who is correcting your paper. So keep it as simple as possible. So what is the first thing you need to talk? The first one, validity of the redemption of debenture, correct? Redemption period. So section 71, non-convertible security debenture can be issued, but they must be with maximum of 10 years from date of issue. 10 years from date of issue. However, we have a thing that infrastructure companies can issue up to 30 years. Up to 30 years, correct? In our case law, what is greenfield? Greenfield is a infrastructure, large scale. The redemption period of 17 years is valid. I have had students who told me that, no sir, it is 10 years. Please, come on, this is very basic here. Please, you can't miss this. It is very clear. For infrastructure projects, you can issue debenture up to 30 years. And see, the problem is you don't read the question properly. Greenfield Infrastructure Limited, company in large scale infrastructure projects. Read that, no, then you connect it. Oh, 17 years, it's not possible. Don't jump to conclusions. Read the question properly. It's a very, very simple thing. Don't get confused by such a simple thing. Next, compliance for debenture trustee. That was the second question, right? So there are 3 questions. The second question is what? Over here. Okay. As per the share capital debenture rules, what is it? Debenture trustee is appointed before issue of the prospectus. The debenture trust should be within 3 months. Trustee should ensure that company adheres to the compliances. So that you're writing. And most importantly, we are adding greenfield infrastructure must ensure compliance with the requirements. So we are connecting the law with the question. This is the mistake students do. They'll simply write this. That is not wrong. But what gives you extra marks? What gives you that extra impression? When you connect the question with the answer. So connecting is like this. See, I just added one line. So this company must ensure compliance with these requirements. Why did I add that line? Because the question is, considering the facts given above, discuss the mandatory compliance, including the time limit which the appointment or execution of the trust deed is there. And this is all related to what? This is related to greenfield with all these facts. So you must connect your answer, and these are the small things which make a difference. These are the small things which make a difference, and this is what students miss. And then they tell, sir, company law is difficult. This is nothing related to company law. This is common sense. Connect the question and answer. Connect the law and the facts in the question. This is basic common sense. You can't miss it at all. Okay. Next, circumstances for appointing nominee director. Under section 71 subsection 9 Companies Act, the debenture trustee has the authority to appoint the nominee director. That we know. Company defaults in repayment of principal or debentures, then the thing comes in. So the terms of the trust deed will be violated. That time, company has defaulted on the payment of the interest for 2 years. Why? Greenfield, we studied in the facts. 2 years they have not paid. Debenture trustee has seen that. Okay. So this safeguard is obligated to appoint a nominee director to protect the interest of the debenture holders, because if we don't have nominee director, the company will continue to put topi or cap whatever on the debenture holders, and they will not be getting the interest properly. So this is how you connect. See here, in the answer I've simply not written, I've written the fact safeguard trustee is obligated to appoint. So this is how, I know I'm repeating myself, but these are the simple things you need to understand. Then I've even given you a conclusion. Sir, how to write so much, sir? If you practice, actually it's not so difficult to write. It's really not difficult. Redemption of 17 years is valid, correct? Compliance with debenture trustee and execution of trust deed must adhere to the timelines. And debenture trustee is duty bound to appoint nominee director because companies default on interest payment. See here, default in interest payment. And one more thing I'm underlining here, don't in a CS exam, don't underline and all, that is of no use. That is all nonsense. If at all you want to do something, what you can do is you can write some important words in capital, like this capital letter, one or two important, otherwise you won't have time to do all that. In few, maybe one or two first answers just to impress. Initially you can do all those things. Okay. Next, so we finished 4. Yeah, this is a problem, right? 4 small a, small b, small c, we finished. Suppose you attempted that, your answer is done. But since I'm solving the paper, I have to solve everything. Suppose a student tells her, I don't want to attend this, I want to attend 4 capital A, 1, 2, 3. That is the 3 different questions. 4 capital A if you want to attempt. In that we have 4 capital A in that first question. Here also there are 3 questions. So here they are calling it Roman number 1, 2, 3. So numbering is important. Don't get confused. And here it is very confusing. Why? You have 4A. Then you have the first question. In fact, first question again we have 2 parts. Correct? Because both these parts together is 3 plus 2, 5 marks. So this is for 3 marks. And this is for 2 marks. They are giving, so subdividing. So it's so confusing. So you have to write 4A in that first question. In that you have sub 1 A, this is for 3 marks, and you have B, which is for 2 marks. So numbering is very important. Please be careful. Okay. So 3 plus 2, we are having the question. So what is this? So Rocky Images has Varun as CFO, Pratik as MD. So Varun CFO, Pratik MD. There is no whole-time director. Varun is of the opinion that if there is any allegation by shareholders for financial statement not complying with accounting standard, MD Pratik will be responsible. Whereas MD Pratik says that Varun will be responsible. So an argument started between the two. Discuss the scenario with provisions of Companies Act. So we have CFO, we have MD, CFO, MD, okay. So they are telling, if there is, since there is no, see very clearly they are saying, there is no whole-time director in charge of finance. Nobody is there to in charge of finance. So if there is some problem related to finance, if there is any allegation for not complying with accounting standards, MD says CFO is responsible. CFO says MD is responsible. Who is actually responsible according to the answer? So if you look at it, CFO and MD have specific responsibilities regarding financial statements. So both are responsible, but they have some specific things. What is that? CFO. See, I have presented the answer. See, it is a 3 marks question. So simple. First, I am telling both have some responsibility. Then what is CFO role? Responsible for compliance with respect to ensuring financial statement are applicable with accounting standard. CFO, correct? If there is any discrepancy, false reporting, CFO is accountable to overseeing financial reporting. Financial reporting is CFO. MD is overall responsibility for company compliance with functioning. So they are also accountable for any lapses in accuracy in reporting. So any accuracy in reporting they have to do. So in simple, both of them would be jointly responsible. They cannot escape. They are jointly responsible when it comes to non-compliance with accounting standards, as they are in Companies Act, we call them as officers who are in default. Correct? 2 subsection 59 if I am not wrong, officers who are in default definition. Argument between the two: should not divert their joint obligation to comply. They must ensure accurate compliance with the financial statements. So both of them are fighting, but both are responsible. Both are responsible. Okay. So 3 marks question we have written. Now for 2 marks, you have one company which is unlisted has achieved turnover of 200 crores. 200 crores it has achieved already, and had to file their balance sheet and statement of P&L in XBRL mode. Yes, we know that XBRL mode they have to file once you have this turnover. Their turnover declined due to inadequate demand. So turnover went down. So in 17-18 they had XBRL, but in 23-24 company had only 40 crores turnover. So XBRL, accountant of company, is view that now XBRL mode of filing is not needed, because XBRL is XBRL limit is not reached for 5 years and it's over. So what is the accountant? Is the accountant right? Is the accountant right? So they had XBRL compliance in 17-18, so they did XBRL. But in 23-24 it is 40 crore, and it has been 5 years since the XBRL applicability is over. What should we do? XBRL mode. So what do we understand? XBRL mode applies to whom? Listed companies. Companies having paid up share capital 5 crores or more, turnover of 100 crores or more. So that is the applicability. But now what is our situation? What is our situation over here? Please stay with me. Please, these are all very important. Resham Cements had turnover of 200 crores, then it became 40 crore. It no longer qualifies under XBRL filing. So what accountant said? Accountant is correct. It is correct. Why? Company no longer has to file XBRL mode, turnover is below the limit, and 5 years have passed since the initial filing requirement. So it is correct. We don't have to do XBRL filing. So when you want to, if you want to conclude for both 1 and 2, 3 plus 2, you can say that CFO, MD are responsible, and in part B, Resham is no longer obligated to file XBRL mode. So this is a classic way to answer. Very simple sentences, small paragraph, point by point, answer in points. 1000 times teachers tell you, but you never do it, right? Yeah. Next we come to, I have to write it because it is so confusing. 4A, question number 2, which is for 5 marks. Just now what did we answer? That was confusing. 4A, question number 1, in that A and B for 3 marks and 2 marks. Correct. Now we are in 4A2. Luckily there are no sub questions here. It is a complete question which we have for 5 marks as a whole. Okay. What is a member under Companies Act? Can subsidiary company become member and shareholder of the holding company? Can subsidiary company become member and shareholder of holding company? Can foreigner be member of a company? You are requested to clarify this in Companies Act. So again, it is 5 marks, 1 question, but basically it has 2 sub questions. So in such kind of scenario, what you can do, what can you do is very simple. Start defining what is member. 2 subsection 55, what is member? So write the definition. I won't explain the definition here, it's quite simple. Once you explain the definition, this is the real answer. Can subsidiary company become member of holding company? As per section 19 subsection 1, subsidiary company is prohibited from becoming member of holding company because it doesn't make any sense. So you have holding company A. Suppose A owns 51% shares in B. So A is holding company. Okay, we'll call it holding company. B is subsidiary company. Okay, A is holding shares in B. Now can I say, okay, B also wants to hold share in A? No, we cannot do that. But there are some exceptions. If subsidiary company holds shares as the legal representative of a deceased member. Suppose the company A has a person, Mr. Raj. Mr. Raj says that once I die, my shares will go to company B. So that time company B happens to be subsidiary, it's possible. If it holds shares as a trustee not beneficially owned, so if it holds shares as a trustee not beneficially owned, it's possible. It's possible. When holding company itself is shareholder of the subsidiary, holding company itself is shareholder and has made such an arrangement as part of the legal framework. So general rule is you can't, but the exception you can, and we have understood how it can be done. Okay. From approval of Reserve Bank of India, foreigner can be member of a company. There is no restriction. Yes, foreigners can be member. You must ensure that FEMA has been complied with and you have given all your passport and other documents. Foreign person can be member of an Indian company. That is fairly simple. Okay. Yeah, this is the conclusion. Fine. Next we come to the last question in this part 1 or part A, whatever you want to call it. Companies Act provides protection to employees during investigation of companies' affairs and remedy to appeal against actions taken by the management. What are the protections? So again, go for IQCQ. Identify the keywords. What is the keywords? Protection to employees. That is the most important keyword. Correct? What type of question is it? They've told very, very clearly, explain. It is an explain question. What concept is it? Right? Investigation of the company's affair relating to that concept. And now quickly plan. See, now I do separate sessions on how to write answer in CS exam. So please do join those sessions. That time I'll do that IQCQ in more detail. Now I'm just solving the paper. So we will just go with quickly. Remedies. So Companies Act has protection to employees during investigation. So what are they? Under 212(14)(a). See now section number, I repeat, if you don't remember, don't worry. But you should at least know the law. During investigation of serious frauds under the SFIO, the central government may issue orders to protect the employees or any other person providing information from being terminated, demoted or harassed by the company. So you cannot be terminated, demoted or harassed by the company. That is a protection. That is a protection which you get. Next, employees can file grievance appeal against action taken by management. If management is telling, oh, don't give all information during investigation, then definitely employees can file an appeal. If the employee is terminated by the company, then NCLT can file a labor dispute, industrial dispute resolution. But of course, this is all very theoretical. Write it in exam. Practically it doesn't work like this. Anyway, we can't help it. Immunity. Employees and whistleblowers assisting in investigation are safeguarded from retaliatory action under Companies Act and whistleblower provision. So you do get the protection. So end of the day, reinstatement remedies. So if you have any problem as an employee during investigation, you will cooperate with government, but company may trouble you, right? Compensation for losses suffered due to wrongful termination and annulment of adverse action, whatever. So these protections ensure transparency and accountability while maintaining fair treatment for the employees. So we have the protection. So again, this chapter many people don't study, but it is a 5 marks question. So we can't leave anything. We have to study every single thing. We have to practice it very, very well. So that comes to end of part 1, which is 60 marks. End of part 1, which is 60 marks. Now we will be going to the part 2. So in part 2, we'll be understanding mainly meetings, board of directors and all 40 marks questions. So let us go there and solve that paper. Hello, and now let us go to part B or part 2 in our company law solved paper. In company law, you know very well that you have 60 marks, which is part 1, and 40 marks part B, which talks about directors meetings. So in this part 2 or part B, whatever you want to call it, we have all these chapters, right? General meetings, directors, board composition, meetings of the board, then we have CSR, annual report, KMP. In this, let us go to the question paper. Part 2, what are the questions and how do we solve them? Part 1 itself is quite large, but we want you to understand how ICSI expects and how you should be prepared. Like I told you already, at Ekcel Academy, all our students have got very good marks in company law because this is the depth at which we go. Now let us go ahead. Before I start, again, in case you are looking for company law classes, you can WhatsApp us on 973-973-3400. Now, we have a case study question in part 2. We are starting with a case study question. They give you 15 minutes time, like I told you already, but the questions are so long. This is a common doubt or a problem which students have. Let us understand the question and let us analyze this like we already did for part 1. Yes, so they've given a long thing. Disha Beauty Products is a company incorporated 5 years ago and it is registered in Mumbai. Okay, and they begin manufacturing cosmetic products and they have a brand name called Kasturi. So they have nail, foundation, compact, mascara. I think girls will like this question because they know all of this. Anyway, this is just a background. This is not relating to company law. The understanding of this question is students should understand business, right? That is the reason. Due to the organic composition and consistency, the company products have gained popularity and they have a very good market. So the company is having organic ingredients and it is good for the skin and they are getting popularity. This is nothing related to company law. They are just wasting your time by giving you the background by reading it, correct? Next, under the leadership of Disha, that is the founder, that is the managing director, company has a very good growth and turnover, profitability, earning strong reputation in the market. So they are growing very well. So you wasted 1 minute by reading the question and still company law has not come. Anyway, that is how it is. We need to understand. Now comes the company law. Now comes the question. To do the further expansion, company wants to appoint Mr. Joe and Jogesh as additional directors. So we have the question here relating to section 161, additional directors. Okay. Disha had previously proposed Joe for regular director position in AGM, but the motion failed and Joe was not appointed. Jogesh is proposed to be appointed as additional director for the first time. This is just to confuse you that one person was for the AGM they wanted to appoint as director, but it failed. Okay, it failed, that's it. But to confuse you, they have to add something, correct? Board of Directors exercising powers conferred by articles of association appointed by Joe and Jogesh additional director in the board meeting 31st March 2024. So they want to appoint them as additional director in board meeting. That is correct. That is relevant for us to understand the question. The AGM, which was 30th September, could not be held in the due date. Now they are testing you. Very good question. The company had a 3-month extension, the registrar of companies, and held that 31st December 2024. So the AGM was held on 31st December. Actually, the AGM was to be held on 30th September. So why are they asking you this? They are asking you this because the post of the additional director, if you read section 161, is till the AGM or the last date which it ought to be held. So that is the thing which they want to ask you. Then further they are giving you one more angle. So first they talked about the additional director. The next angle which they want to give you is company provided security for a loan of 25 lakh taken by Rupa Chemicals. So there's another company, Rupa Chemicals, okay, which Harshal and Sujit, directors of the company, hold 10% and 15% shares respectively. So what is happening here? Very, very interesting. So we have Disha Beauty Products Limited, correct? That is our company, and there the question is relating to this company. Now further in the question they are telling we have given, that is our Disha company has given security for a loan. We have given security for a loan. If you look at section 185, correct, of 25 lakhs by Rupa Chemical. So Rupa Chemical has taken, but we have given the security, and Harshal and Sujit, directors of the company, hold 10 and 15% equity shares respectively with voting rights. Secretarial auditor observed that this transaction is invalid. So it's related party, correct? Company argues that it complied with all the formalities and that none of the directors are interested in RCL as per the law. So company is telling nobody is interested, but secretarial auditor says something is wrong. So we are just still understanding the question. So please stay with me. I'll come to the specific questions and what they are asking. The board of directors planned to issue equity shares into the public and held a meeting on 15th May 2024. So they did a meeting on 15th May 2024 for issue of equity shares to the public and to approve the prospectus. So this question is about additional directors, is about loan security, and it is about the prospectus. Why this question is good? Because in the real life also, this is how a company is going to face different problems in company law, and it is our job to give the suggestion and the solution keeping in mind all these factors. Now don't get worried that the questions are hard. If you study well, this question is actually not hard. They are asking you simple things about additional directors. Simple, if you know the provision, it's easy. It is about application. So what student expect? The question should be what is section 185, what is section 161? You will not get such questions. If you know section 161, section 185, section 188 or any section for that matter, it will be easy to apply. The question is actually easy, but you just need to know how to apply. I will tell you how. Out of the 12 directors, 3 attended the meeting physically and 1 attended audio-visual means. So if you look at it, board of directors plan to issue for approval of prospectus. 12 directors with that, 3 attended meeting physically and 1 attended audio-visual. One other director had informed the company secretary on 1st April 2024 his intention to attend the board meeting electronically. So 1st April itself they told that we will go for the board meeting electronically. Company advised him to attend in person, stating that electronic arrangements could not be made at the intimation of his intention to attend the meeting electronically was not given at the beginning of the calendar year. So beginning of the year you should have told, but he had not told. So he said I want to attend online, but the company is telling no, you can't attend online, you should come physically. You should have told us beginning of the calendar year, then we would have made the arrangement. See, very nice question where all the concepts are being tested. Next, this question is still not over. You'll tell sir, answer you tell. First question we should understand. It's a long question, and because 15 minutes reading time is given, they are giving you a long question for part 1 and part 2. First question is long. Case law, case study question. Okay, appointment of relative of the MD. So question is actually easy, but it is very long. We'll come to that. Julie, a company secretary and sister of Disha. So Disha's sister is Julie, but she's a CS. Okay, is proposed to be appointed as consultant with monthly remuneration of 2.75 lakhs. Okay. Disha seeks clarification on the applicable legal provisions. So Disha is asking, can I appoint my sister Julie to the company? Is it allowed? We should know the legal reasons of why it is not allowed. We'll come to that. Now comes the question. Based on the above information, please refer to provisions of Companies Act. So they're asking you refer to provisions of Companies Act. So in our answer, we should write the provisions, the section numbers, the rules, wherever we have the exact information. You are requested to address the following. See, this long question is that there is a Disha company, they're into cosmetics, they're doing well, all that story we understood. The question is really about additional director, then what, section 185, then a little bit about prospectus, and also about can we appoint a relative of managing director as a consultant and give them money. Can we do that? So these are the 4 aspects. In that, question number A, as you can see here, validity of the appointment of Joe and Jogesh as additional director of Disha Beauty Products Limited. Discuss the tenure of their appointment. This is a 5 marks question. See here, very clearly they are giving you. This is a 5 marks question. So I hope you understood the question. Even if you don't, please take the question paper, read it. And we also have the entire question paper along with the answers in the description. You can go there and you can get it. So how do we understand? So examine validity of the appointment. So validity is the keyword. First thing we need to understand is validity keyword, and also we need to understand the tenure. So validity and tenure. So if you remember, I have something called as the IQCQ framework, correct? Identify the keywords. What question is it? Then you need to understand which concept they're on, which they're asking, and most importantly, the final thing is quickly plan the answer and write it. So we call this as the IQCQ framework, which I have been telling my students. It is a framework which I have done, and it is actually very useful. So in this IQCQ, first thing is what? Validity and tenure we need to know. So the key words in this question, there are so many words, such a long question. Now for 5 marks we should write validity of the appointment. Can we appoint this Joe and Jogesh? Correct? And if we can appoint, what their tenure can be. Now one more clue for you. Just by reading the question, if you know basic English, you can answer. Now let us say you don't know anything about this. Examine the validity of the appointment of Joe and Jogesh as additional director of our company, Disha Beauty Products. Okay. Also discuss the tenure of their appointment. Just by reading the second line, I know the answer is yes for the first question. I don't know company law, but I know English. I can tell. See, many times just by reading the question, you will get the hint of the answer. You need to add the section number, your knowledge, all of that. But at least you'll know the hint. The hint is very clear. So validity, can I appoint? They are asking first question. Second question they are asking, discuss the tenure. So they are giving answer to the question, first question. In the second question, the answer for first question is there. Why? Discuss the tenure means, that means we can appoint. They are only telling, tell the tenure. So if I can't even appoint, they cannot ask the question, tell the tenure. First question is telling, is it valid? So answer is obviously it is valid. So even if you don't know anything and you read the question, sometimes like this, you can read and at least you can get 1 mark. I'm just telling you. But of course, if you are my student, you should get entire 5 marks. Let us go back over here. So validity of the appointment and tenure, these are the two things they are asking, correct? So now if you go validity, so can I appoint? The first thing you should write, yes, we can appoint them. Then the tenure. Tenure is what? For how much time? Can they be director forever? Can they be additional director forever? That is the question at our hand. So section 161 Companies Act governs the provisions related to additional director. This is the first thing we should write. Why? If you read the question paper, what did we read? Refer to provisions of Companies Act is what they've told. So we are referring. It allows board of directors to appoint additional director if authorized by the articles of association. So this nobody will write in exam. Everybody will simply write 161. So we have to write, very important for you to understand, section 161 plus articles of association, both should be there for me to validly appoint somebody as a additional director in my company. Additional director. Okay. Articles of association empower the board to make such appointment. The board can appoint. We don't need the shareholders. Therefore, appointment of Joe and Jogesh as additional director is valid under the provisions of Companies Act. So it is valid. So that is the first thing. For the 5 marks question, first part we got. Next comes to tenure. Tenure of additional director is up to the annual general meeting or the last date on which the AGM should have been held. Okay. What are they saying? The question is, can we appoint them and what is their tenure? So we can appoint them, we understood, but what is their tenure? For that I should know the Companies Act, section 161 subsection 1, which says that tenure of additional director is up to the next annual general meeting of the company or the last date on which the annual general meeting should have been held. Okay, so whichever is earlier. So what are they saying? Additional director up to the next annual general meeting, right? Or the last date of the AGM which should have been held. what is the last date for which AGM should have been held? So whichever is earlier, you need to understand. So I will just explain that before we even go to the answer. So let us say that the company wants to hold the AGM and the last date is 30th September 2024. That is the last date to hold the AGM. Now suppose the company has held the AGM on 15th September 2024. The last date is 30th September, but company said we will not wait for last date. We will hold on 15th September 2024. Correct. So if I have an additional director in my company, his tenure will be till 30th September or 15th September. You only tell me. Just by reading this provision. What is this provision? AGM shall, what is that? Up to the next annual general meeting. Or the last date which the annual general meeting should have been held, whichever is earlier. Okay. So now let us say in April 2024 I have appointed the additional director. So additional director will be till the date of AGM. So this is the actual date where they did the AGM. This is the last date which they had the time, but they did not want to wait. Correct. So the person who's appointed in April 2024 will be there till the AGM date or last date of AGM, whichever is earlier. So what is the concept? Whichever is earlier. So which is early? 15 September 2024, last date of AGM, correct? Or the date which AGM is held, whichever is earlier. So if now we understood, it's 15 September. Similarly, for this Joe and thing, what happens here? Let us try and understand. Yeah. The board of directors appointed Joe and Jogesh as additional director 31st March 2024. They appointed on 31st March 2024. So next AGM for this company was 30th September 2024, but it could not be held and they got a 3-month extension from the ROC, which is 31st December 2024. 31st December 2024. So last date of AGM is 30th September, but they got an extension. So here when you write the answer, you should be very careful. What you should write? In this case, AGM was held on 31st December, extended by the ROC, Registrar of Companies. Therefore, the additional director Joe and Jogesh would have ceased on 31st December 2024 unless reappointment of regular directors by the shareholders in the AGM. So now some students tell me that, sir, should we not write September 30th and not December 31st, because the last date of AGM is September 30th and company has held the AGM December 31st. See, here there are two ways of looking at it. Even in the professional world, this confusion is there. Even in WhatsApp groups of big practicing company secretaries, this confusion is there. So when you write the answer, you should write your understanding and your justification. So I have written that 31st December because ROC itself has given us approval. Yes, last date was 30th September and we have got the permission, and Companies Act allows for 3-month extension and ROC got. That means the last date which the company should have held the AGM is actually 31st December, and that is the reason why I am telling that the appointment Joe and Jogesh tenure as additional director would have ceased on 31st December unless appointed, and therefore this is correct. So if you look at the question now, validity of Joe and Jogesh additional director, also discuss the tenure. So when have they come? So 30th September and 31st December. So board of directors has appointed, held on the due date, and 3 months extension was taken. So in that simple way, their appointment is valid. It is as simple as that. But if you want to say no, we don't agree with this, we want to tell 30th September, then write that justification. So this is my justification and my answer, and if you write like that, you will definitely get the marks. So hope you are getting it. I know these things could be little intricate, but that is our job as CS. But if you look at the question is actually easy. They are asking you about additional director, and the simple logic about additional director is board of directors appoint additional director, not the shareholders. So they are testing that knowledge. That is a basic knowledge which you have. Next, what are they testing? Tenure. The tenure is till the last date of AGM or the date of AGM, whichever is earlier. This is also a simple concept when you study, but the application of concept is what you should understand and what you should do, and that is your job. Next, secretarial auditor has observed the transaction providing security for 25 lakh loan by Rupa Chemical Limited is invalid. Analyze the validity of the transaction. So we need to know the validity of the transaction. So for this, again, answer to question number 5B, when we write, the legal provisions is what you can start writing. So here we are also trying to understand how to present the answers. So just in case, you can get in touch with our Ekcel Academy. We have separate videos how to present answers, and we can share that with you. Section 185 of Companies Act prohibits company directly or indirectly advancing loans, providing guarantee securities which its directors have substantial interest. So they're testing this knowledge for you, and this is a simple knowledge. So the problem why students find this question is difficult is, sir, they did not ask what is section 185, so I did not answer. Even in your real life as a CS, no company or no director will come and ask you what is so and so section. They will tell what is their problem, and you have to use your company law knowledge and solve that problem. Correct? Exactly. So that is the reason. So what does it say? In this case, Harshal and Sujit, directors of our company Disha, they are holding 10 and 15% equity shares in Rupa Chemicals. We saw the question, right? That is why we need to understand it is a related entity. It is a related entity. It is a related entity, first thing. Next, exceptions under 185. If transaction falls under permissible exceptions, like what is the permissible exceptions we can look at? Wholly owned subsidiary, or security guarantee in ordinary course of business. There is no mention of shareholder approval in the case study, making the transaction invalid. So there is no mention in the case study, in the question, you write there is nothing like that. So this transaction is invalid, they cannot do it. It does not fall under exception, correct? It is not wholly owned subsidiary, no. Then is it ordinary course of business? No. So this is the knowledge which you should have. The application of knowledge is this. There is no mention of the shareholder approval in the case study. The transaction is invalid. So this is another 5 marks. So how will you conclude for that 5 marks? Without shareholder approval and compliance, the transaction will be invalid. You can write, see, I have used the word here, appears. So it is a very nice way to tell what your decision is. Additionally, highlighted by the secretarial auditor, non-compliance with the act can lead to penalties for the company and the officers. So non-compliance can lead to penalties. So this is what you should understand. Now again, just for you to understand, clue. The clue in the question is what? Secretarial auditor has observed that the transaction is invalid. See, I am not saying just because that is saying invalid, your answer should be invalid. But that is a clue for you, that is not an answer for you. So when you read the question, sometimes you get the clue. Sometimes you don't, but sometimes you get the clue. For example, here we got a very clear clue. The question itself has 2 parts, and the second part of the question is giving us answer to the first part of question. Examine validity of the appointment as additional director is the first part of the question. Second part is discuss the tenure. Just by reading discuss the tenure, I will know the validity that it is yes. So they have given me the answer that this is yes. Of course, the detailed answer about the section you should read, but at least it will help you. So start looking for clues in the question. Start looking for clues in the question. This is what I wanted to tell you. Okay, great, wonderful. Now we'll come to 5C. 5C, that is the next question for our understanding. Determine whether the quorum was present on 15th May for the approval of the prospectus. Additionally, assess whether the company is advised to a director to attend the meeting in person instead of electronically due to the notice of electronic participation not being given in the beginning of the calendar year was valid. So what was the question about? Whether quorum is there. Second, you remember one director told I want to attend online, but the company said no, you can't attend online. If you want to attend online, you should tell us at the beginning of the year. Now you can't tell us, is the question. So is that valid? Can the company deny the director to attend online? That is the question. Correct? Hope you got the question. So now let us look at the answer. Quorum. So for again, see, please understand the question. They're telling refer to provision. So let us start. So section 174 says that quorum of 1/3 of the total strength of board or 2, whichever is higher, is required for the meeting. What is quorum? Minimum number of members required to constitute a valid meeting. That's all it is, nothing more than that. The board consists of 12 directors. For a valid quorum, we need 4 directors. See, this is how I want you to present. See, I have made it in a simple language. This whole thing took a lot of time for me to make, but simple language, write in simple language, show your knowledge to the examiner. Show your knowledge. What is the knowledge? That section 174 says 1/3 of that board or 2 directors, whichever is higher, is quorum. That is your knowledge. Application of knowledge. In our question, there are 12 directors. So what is valid quorum? 1/3, correct? Or 2, whichever is higher. What is 1/3? 4. So 4 directors is quorum. They should be present. Meeting was attended by 3 directors physically and 1 audiovisual. One person said will come audiovisual. As per the company's meetings of the board and its powers, rules, participation through audiovisual means is valid. Participation through audiovisual means is valid. So that's not a problem. So quorum was present. So quorum was present. So quorum was there. No problem. This is how you should write. What will student write? Oh no, quorum means everyone should be physically present. No. This is the rule. So you need to know this rule to answer. Okay, great. Next, validity of the advice to attend physically. So the company said, no sir, you cannot come online, you should come physically. Can the company say that, right? Director informed the company secretary about their intention to participate electronically. However, rule 3, sub-rule 3, clause E, director must notify the company at the beginning of the calendar year. What is calendar year? January to December is the calendar year, correct? January to December is calendar year. April to March is financial year. So to test that knowledge, are you confused between calendar year and financial year? They are testing. So what is the basis of the question? The question is so beautiful. The basis is rule number 3, sub rule 3, clause E. If you don't remember this number, don't worry, but you should know there is a rule which says that director should notify the company beginning of the calendar year whether they want to attend the meetings electronically. That much you should know, right? Since the intimation was late, company's advice to attend physically was valid. So the company said that yes, if you told us in January, February beginning, we would have definitely allowed you to come online, but now we cannot make the arrangements. You are giving us very less time, and it is not our mistake because the law has told that you should tell us beginning of the calendar year. In January you should tell us, but you didn't tell us. You are telling us when? April, 1st April 2024 you are telling us. So we can't. So what company is telling is valid. So what is the question? Assess whether the company is advised to the director to attend a meeting physically and not electronically due to the beginning of the calendar. Is it valid? Is it valid? The keyword. The answer is yes. Yes, the company telling that you should come physically is valid because director did not inform beginning of calendar year. So I'm actually just giving the answers to the questions, but if you come to my classes, we are going in detail for every provision. It's very interesting and very fascinating. Anyway, coming back here, okay. Now we will go to the next. So we finished B, C, A, 15 marks we have answered. 15 marks we have answered, correct? Now we'll come to the fourth one. Determine discussing relevant provisions of companies. Actually, in the question they're asking provision. So we should know the provision very well. Appointment of Julie. Who is Julie? Sister of Disha, as consultant. Whether it is a related party transaction. Is it related party transaction? Additionally, explain necessary approval and disclosure compliance requirement for such transaction. Again, the question, the question is giving us the clue, it is giving us the answer. Just look at this, my friends. The second part of question is explain approval required for the compliance. First part of question is it a related party? So I can easily tell, even if I don't know anything, yes, it is a related party, yes, it requires approval, because the second part is telling explain the approval and disclosure requirements for the transaction. I'm sorry if I'm laughing, but this should give you the motivation, this should give you the inspiration, this should give you that if I know how to understand simple English and if I understand company law, I can definitely answer the questions. So let us have a look at it. Related party transaction. So what does it say? 2 subsection 76 tells very clearly related party transaction is director or their relative. There only we got answer. Why? Julie is sister of Disha. So it is a related party. It is a related party. Key managerial person or their relative. So that is already there. Julie being sister of Disha qualifies as a related party. Correct. Appointment of Julie as consultant with remuneration of so and so is a related party transaction under our act. It is a related party transaction. And what is the requirements? Board approval is required. Of course, in the question only I told you the clue. We know we need a board approval required for the transaction. Shareholder approval. If the transaction exceeds the limit as per the rules, then we need shareholder approval through ordinary resolution. For consultancy services, the limit is 10% of the turnover. If 2.75 exceeds the limit, shareholder approval is required. So in our understanding, we should know board approval is required, shareholder approval is required when the limit of 10%, correct? It describes the prescribed limit. What is the prescribed limit? 10% of the turnover. So if it is more than 10%, this 2.75 lakhs into the year, then we need the shareholder approval also, correct? So what is the disclosure requirements? We should write the answer. Disclose the related party transaction in the board of directors report. We have to disclose. They are not saying don't do it. Disclose it and enter the details in the register of contracts as per section 189. What is the conclusion? Transaction is valid if approved by the board and shareholders. I'm telling if required. Why? Shareholder requirement is only if it exceeds that limits, which we understood. Proper disclosure must be made to ensure the compliance. So they're telling we can have Julie as the consultant. We can pay 2.75 lakhs also. Just because she is sister of Disha, we can't say no, you can't be. But if I want a related party and give them money, I need board of directors approval, or if it exceeds the limit, I need the shareholder approval. That's all. Simple. So like this, when you write, definitely you will be able to answer properly. So this is a glimpse of how you should write answers in part 2, and we are analyzing this entire paper. Next, let us go to the next question, which is question number 6 or 6A. Yes, so now we are going ahead with the next question, question number 6. Here you have a choice, and choice is sometimes difficult. In life, when we have choice, it's difficult. 6 or 6A. So read the 6 and 6a before you attempt. Anyway, coming to the question, draft a specimen notice, that is we need the AGM notice as per the Companies Act provisions, AGM notice as per CA Companies Act provisions, and ensure that there is no special business. In the notice we should ensure there is no special business. So what is my framework, which is my proven framework, which my students are getting 65 plus marks? IQCQ, how to read the question papers. First, I is what? Actually, when I do it in class I tell I means telling yourself, yes, I know the answer. That is correct. Along with that, identify the keywords. What is the keywords? We need to understand the notice, correct? And there is no special business. No special business is the next keyword. Then Q, what is Q? Q is what is the type of question? This is a drafting question. Very first word we have to draft. Drafting question. I, Q. C, concept. What concept are they asking you? About annual general meeting, section 96 and the application. And finally Q, quickly plan the answer. How are you going to draft? Anyway, you don't have to worry about planning. I'll show you how you should write this answer. So for this answer, you can write either specimen notice of annual general meeting, because this is not a real notice. This is a notice for the question paper and the answer. Name of the company. So you can just add ABC Private Limited, like that, some name you can add. CIN. You don't have to write CIN. You can just write CIN and you can write like this. So the person correcting your paper will know that, okay, student knows that CIN should be written. Registered office address, again you don't have to write, because what if they know from which place you are, and you cannot disclose all these things in exam. Then comes the actual notice. There comes the actual notice. So here what you can also do is notice. You can write like this and you can definitely answer like this, and as you go ahead, notice is hereby given that. So this, some people ask, should I by heart it? Say there's no by heart, but if you know the format you can write. So notice is given that the annual general meeting of the company will be held on the date, time, venue to transact the following business. Why you don't have to by heart? Because when you read section number 96, what does it say? The notice should tell the first most important thing, which annual general meeting it is. Even when you read secretarial standards, it says that we should mention which AGM is it, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, 10th, 20th, depending on the company. Name of the company should be there. Date and time should be there. We know, no, the AGM should be 9 AM to 6 PM, all that. Venue, where it is going to be. So even if you don't by heart this line, if you know the section, you will write the answer. So notice is given, so you will write that. So notice is hereby given, date, time, everything will be added. Next, ordinary business. Why? In the question they have told that ensure that there is no special business. So our job is easy. Now one thing which students are not doing is practicing the drafting. So everyone found this question difficult because they did not draft. But the students who drafted, I remember one of my student, one girl, I used to tell everyone, but everyone never used to do, but she used to draft. So what did she tell? Sir, this question had so many drafting, even the question B, C and all. I wrote everything and I'm very sure I wrote it correctly. And here in drafting, they have to give you marks. They cannot cut marks. Correct? So please practice drafting. So drafting, ordinary business. What is ordinary business? This again, sir, should I by heart this ordinary business? No. No, if you know the section, if you have understood the section, what is the ordinary business? We study, right? ADDA, approval to consider and adopt the audited financial statements of the company. Declare dividend, D, ADDA, correct? ADDA, this is what we tell, approval of accounts. Now it is called financial statements. So A, then D is, what is it? Dividend, declare dividend for the financial year. Then another D, to appoint director in the place who is retiring, D. Then last one is A, to appoint the auditors of the company and fix their remuneration, correct? Then you write the resolution for that, resolve that as per the provisions of 139. Name of the auditing firm, ABC and Co. Something you write. Chartered accountants are appointed as statutory auditor of the company from the conclusion of this meeting to the conclusion of the, here 5 years should be there, right? So if you are telling that this AGM, correct, here, sorry, here if you write that this is the third AGM, then from third AGM to eighth AGM, 5 years, you must mention here to the eighth AGM at the remuneration fixed by the board of directors. So 5 years it is appointed. So all your knowledge you can show. So drafting questions are like maths. They have to give you marks if it is correct. And for it to be correct, you just need to know provisions. So it's highly scoring, and it is simple. If you know section 96, can't you answer this? It's so simple. But no sir, drafting sir, that's up. It is the easiest question. It is as good as asking what is section 96. That is how easy this question is. But we don't think like that, and that is why I encourage my students to draft, and even you should do that. Member is entitled to attend the board meeting by a proxy. These are the notes. If you can remember and write, good, but if you can't, still it's okay. By order of the board of directors, name of the company, authorized signatory, and you have drafted it. That's all. See that. 5 marks you will just get like that. So don't forget practicing drafting. Very easy. And for my this solved paper video, this was so easy for me because there is no analysis, right? I just took the draft and I typed it out and I'm showing it to you. So that is the power. Look at it. Explain the requirement of the constitution, composition, functions of the stakeholder relationship committee. This is question number 6B, which is again a 5 marks question. So SEBI, LODR and IC Companies Act. So again we'll go to IQCQ technique. Identify the keywords. Constitution, composition, functions. This is the keywords. Stakeholder relationship committee is the second important, but in that stakeholder relationship committee, what do I need? Constitution, composition and functions I need, correct? As per the provisions. So what kind of question is it? It is a direct question. Identify the keywords. Question. It is a direct question. What concept they are asking you? Stakeholder relationship committee. Then quickly plan the answer and write as per SEBI and Companies Act. Both angles we need to write. So in such kind of questions, why my students get more marks is because I tell them, and now I'm telling you also on our YouTube, first write in one line a brief understanding of what is the stakeholder relationship committee. Instead of directly going to the answer, in one line you write, stakeholder relationship committee is a statutory regulatory requirement designated to protect the interest of the shareholders and protect the security holders. So we have CSR committee, audit committee, we have different committees in a company. You can even, you won't have so much time, but if you have, you can even write, a company will have different committees of the board, like audit committee, like CSR committee, like that. We have a committee called stakeholder relationship committee. It is to protect the interest of the shareholders and the other different security holders of the company. So that is the first thing. So if anybody reads this first line, if you're writing, this is to protect the interest of the, then the person correcting knows that, okay, this person knows clearly what is this committee and they have just not by hearted. It is a mechanism to handle the grievance and problems, to ensure that the issues are resolved in timely and transparent manner. As a shareholder, you have a problem. I will solve to you after 6 months. Then that's of no use to you, right? So exactly like that. It is a formal mechanism to handle the grievance and ensuring that the issues are resolved in a timely and transparent manner. So now when you know what this is, requirement, constitution, composition, functions, I can come to that. And just one line here, this is just one line, this will not even take you 20-30 seconds to write, but it will make the person correcting the paper understand that, okay, this is a great person who knows the answer. So this is how you should write, and this is what I want you to understand. Requirement for the constitution. Requirement for the constitution, because keywords we understood, no, constitution. This is simple. If you have understood, you have to remember and write. What is it? Section 178 subsection 5. Like I always tell, mentioning section numbers makes a big difference. So if you can, you must mention it. Okay. The stakeholder relations committee must be constituted by listed companies, companies that accept deposits from the public. SEBI LODR mandate the formation of the SCR to resolve the grievance. So this is the first thing. So Companies Act and the SEBI both have been covered, because the question asks both. So when you answer to the point and simple like this, it is very simple. So listed companies should have this. Companies which accept deposit from public exceeding 50 crore, they should have this. Okay. Then the SEBI LODR also gives this mandatory provision. So again, let me go to the question. Never forget what is the question. Question is more important than answer if you ask me. Because when you study everything. But when the question is there, question is very specific. Correct? So you study everything, but question is this one point. So you can't write all this. You have to write what is this one point they're asking. You can't write everything around it. So go back to question. So composition, constitution and the functions. So we have told the constitution. Okay. Now we'll come to composition. Composition. The stakeholder relationship committee should have 3 directors, one being independent director. Tell sir, how sir, what for private company? See, please remember one thing. Here only we understood, no, listed company and companies which are accepted from the public, which is exceeding 50 crore. So for listed private company, it won't even come. Correct? And SEBI is there. So there is no concept of private company. 3 directors, one being independent director. Chairperson is often independent director to ensure impartial resolution. Chairperson of this committee should be independent so that he is not taking sides and he is unbiased. So composition is done. Correct? Constitution we did. Now we'll come to functions. What this committee should do. Okay, we formed it. What should they do? Primary function. Resolving the grievance of the security holders, like complaints, share transfer, trade transmission. So this actually happened. One of our client, his father passed away. He had lot of shares in a company. Okay. And it was all physical shares. So he was writing to company is not responding. Then he came to me, sir, company is not responding. What should I do? I said, see, I'm a practicing CS. I can't help you much, but I can tell you what is the law. Company has to respond. Company will have SRC, that is the stakeholder relationship committee. Write to them and tell them that this is the duty which you have to respond. When he did that, they got scared and they responded. So knowing the law helps a lot. Monitoring complaints received from the investor. See, in my example, they did not monitor the complaint. So this, my client was sending and there was no reply. But their job is to monitor. Their job is to resolve the problems. Reviewing the measures taken to reduce the grievance. So have the system where complaints should reduce. If the systems are good, people are happy, shareholders are getting everything they deserve, nobody is going to complain. Then effective stakeholder engagement and building investor confidence. So making sure that investors are confident, that is their job. Okay, then additional points which you need to know. You report to the board relating to the status of the investor complaints. Then most importantly, listed companies are required to disclose in their annual report composition, number of complaints, okay, and pending complaints end of the financial year. Very, very important. If you look at the SEBI LODR, this is what will give you full marks. And in this, there is no creativity. You have to understand the concept and remember it. How to understand, how to remember, that's a long thing. I'll make a separate video, and of course you can join us for anything else you want. And additional notes for students which I want to tell. You can't write this in answer. Your answer ends here. So we are doing the solved paper. Your answer ends here. My note for you people. SCR plays vital role in transparency and stakeholder trust. So familiarize yourself with the examples of companies effectively using this. So take some examples and write that in exam. That is going to be highly effective for you. Okay. All right. So now we are in 6B is over. Now we will come to 6C. If you remember, you could answer 6 or 6A. So the question was, you can answer question number 6 or 6A. But in 6 we have small a, b, c, d, and in 6A again you'll have 4 different questions. So either this 4 or this 4. You can't answer, sir, I'll answer 2 here, then 2 over here. No. They have told clearly 6 or 6A. So we are still in 6. We finished A, B. Now we are coming to C. So what is this? Let us have a look at it. Okay. Okay. Let me just erase this for a minute. So also please tell me in the comments if your understanding, if the solved paper is useful for you, because this is how we need to solve. Alright. So XYZ Limited wants to allot equity shares private placement basis. These equity shares rank pari passu with equity shares in all respects. You are requested to provide specimen draft board resolution for the private placement of shares in compliance with the provisions of Companies Act. So again, when we go to IQCQ, what is the keywords? The keywords is important for you. Private placement, equity shares, private placement, and pari passu with existing equity shares. What is the type of question? It is a drafting question. See here, draft. You need to give a draft. What are the concepts they are trying to test you? Private placement and also allotment of equity shares. And what is the quickly planning the answer and writing? This is what you need to see. Don't write like in answer, just to analyze. I'm telling, no, that is why I'm telling question analysis. Question analysis, how you should do. What is the type of meeting? What is the type of resolution? What is the applicable provisions and what are the rules applicable? If this is in your mind clear, you can write the answer. And in your answer also, you can, if you have time, you can actually write type of meeting, type of resolution, write all of this, then you come to the answer. So board resolution, correct? So here what will you write? Board meeting. I'm not writing the full word, but I hope you understand. Board resolution. Then we come to the provisions, right? So name of the company, CIN, all of that, you can just write it. But most important for your answer is certified true copy of the resolution. This is how when you work as a CS, it will be certified true copy only. You are not giving the entire minutes, right? Okay. Resolve that pursuant to the provisions of 42 and 62. So when you're writing the answer, write here 42, 62, correct? And the applicable provisions read with companies prospectus and allotment of securities rules. Prospectus and allotment security rules. So when I'm reading your drafting answer, if some student has written these 4 points, I'll give them extra marks, simple. Because the student might have even by-hearted all this, but he needs some analysis to write what I've shown over here, correct? So subject to approval of the shareholders, the consent of the board is accorded to issue allot equity shares of face value or premium, okay, on the basis to the identified persons detailed in the PAS4, which will rank pari passu with the existing equity shareholders. So everything in the question is actually there in the answer. So some points for your resolution is there in the question. So if you see here, they are only telling allotting equity shares, private placement basis, pari passu with existing equity shares. They've given you the fact. So if you see the answer here, see here, private placement basis, which is ranking pari passu with existing share. So everything is already given, which makes your life easy to answer. So when you answer like that and continue, resolve further that draft private placement offer letter, that is PAS4, so you should know it is PAS4, has been placed and is approved over. Resolve further that we authorize the company to maintain the records and private placement basis in PAS5. So you need PAS5 to maintain it, correct? That's all. To give effect to this resolution, do everything which is necessary. That's all. By the order of the board of directors. It's over. This way you should answer. So what you need to remember, what is the notes for you while answering such things? First thing, you need to know the sections very well. Next thing, you need to know, most importantly, the rules. Then most importantly, you must practice drafting. Students are not practicing drafts. Simply reading the book 100 times, it's of no use. So remember these 3 points for drafting type of questions. Okay. Next, if you see here, see in this question 6, in 6, A, B, C and D. A, C and D. It is relating to drafting. See again, draft a sample minutes of the board meeting with the transaction for share transfer along with usual item of business was conducted in accordance with the provisions of Companies Act. If you are a student who is doing your training, or if you are working in a CS office, this is the easiest question for you because every day you are going to do this, right? So 15 marks. You are having drafting questions, and a student who has read it can score 14, sometimes even 15 entire, because there's nothing wrong or right here. No, if you know the format, if you know the concept, you draft it, they have to give you full marks. It's highly scoring. So please remember this. So how do we write it? Again, type of meeting, type of resolution, applicable provisions, rules. Start thinking of it like that. Sample minutes of the board meeting. Sample minutes of the board meeting. Minutes of the meeting of the board of directors of the company. Who is present? So write that. Then agenda. I've given you a simple, you can write more. Confirmation of the previous minute, approval of share transfer, because in question they've told you to write about share transfer. Then other items of business as usual. Vote of thanks, you can just add depending on how much time you have. You have only 5 marks. So you have only 6 to maximum 5 marks means you can write 8 minutes. 8 minutes you should write the full answer. No? So that's why I've kept it short, because I can simply see one thing which I see in some guideline answers. They give everything in the book. How can you write? See, it is my job as a teacher to tell you how much you should write and how much time for 5 marks. Correct? Sorry. Yeah. So proceedings. Chairperson's welcome. Chairperson welcomed the members. So it is so simple. Confirmation of the previous board meeting. So if you know this, it's so easy. Now comes little bit. The board of directors have a request for share transfer from so and so person to so and so person. You can write X and Y, you can write. The documents were verified, it is in order. So for that you need to pass a resolution. Resolve that as per section 56. So this tests your knowledge of the section for share transfer and companies. Share transfer and debenture rules. The transfer of whatever 10 shares, 100 shares, you can just write. I have just given a bracket. Equity shares from so and so person is approved and the share transfer is to be updated accordingly. Other items, discuss the additional business if any. Then vote of thanks. There is no other item to be discussed, so we entered the meeting with vote of thanks. It's the easiest way to get 5 marks, but students said it is the most difficult. Why? Again I told you, because they don't practice. It is so important, my friends, so please understand that very well. So now that we finished question number 6, if you wrote that, good, but since I'm solving paper, I'll solve everything, but in your exam, maybe you wrote 6, so your question paper is over, your answer sheet is over. But suppose if you want to write 6A instead of 6, now let us look at answering the questions for 6A, where you have another. Like I told you, if you answer 6, you should write everything there. If you answer 6A, you should write all the 4 answers here. You can't write mix of 6 and 6A. I know there are separate questions, but the sub questions can't be mixed. Only the main question you can have a choice of 6 or 6A, not in the sub questions. So let us take a look at this next. Yes, now we are going ahead with 6A. So as you know, you have 6 and 6A, like I was telling you. Question number 6A. In 6A, we have 4 questions. They're giving the number of Roman numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, so that there is no confusion. Just to get a clear understanding for you guys, so you have 6, then you have 6A. In 6, they had A, B, C and D. Every question was for 5 marks, 20 marks. So in 6A, because there is no confusion of A, B again, they're calling it 6 capital A, and we have to write 1, 2, 3, 4. So there is no choice. There is no choice for you. If you write 6A, you should write all 4. If you write 6, you should write all 4 here. But the choice is between 6 and 6A, like I already told you. So let us go ahead. There is a question here, 6A. So this is a little lengthy question, but that is what you should expect in ICSI. From the time they started giving you 15 minutes reading time, the questions became long. Some members of a company, please understand this properly. Some members of a company with share capital intend to request board of directors to convene EGM. So this question is about EGM, to transact the business of buying back the shares of the company. They want to buy back the shares of the company. Very good. If board fails to convene the EGM, members plan to call the EGM themselves. So this is about requisition meeting, correct? Requisition meeting. You are requested to explain the provisions of Companies Act. So if you see here, everywhere they're telling you, explain the provision. So don't write your own opinion, write what is the law. Write that and then give your answers, right? Regarding calling and holding of the EGM by the board upon requisition of members, and the timeline for calling the EGM by the requisitionist. So they're asking you timeline, they're asking you how it is done. If the board does not call it themselves, what should happen? Additionally, examine the feasibility of conducting the EGM for the buyback of shares and outline the consequences the quorum is not present at the meeting. So if quorum is not there, what should happen? So this whole question is relating to our EGM provision. So let us analyze the question. Before we go to the answer, I always want you to analyze the question, and there are 2 ways to analyze. One is my IQCQ. This is my framework which is helping a lot of students. I want you to please use that. Identify the keywords, then also tell yourself I can do it. So that is also I. Then what type of question is it? What type of question is it? Is it explain question? Is it draft question? Is it differentiate between question? Is it analysis question? So what question is it? Then what concept are they asking? What is the specific concept they're asking? And obviously clearly understand that and plan your answer. Plan your answer, quickly plan your answer. Why is it Q? Quickly plan, because we don't have time. We have 180 minutes to write, but 100 marks is there. So I cannot plan 5 minutes. I have to plan within 10 to 20 seconds. That's all you need if you are prepared, right? So EGM, the concepts tested in this question are EGM, convening of EGM, timeline for calling EGM, feasibility of EGM for buyback, consequences of EGM if quorum is not present. So this is about requisitionist. Requisitionist. What is requisitionist? All that you can learn in my class, but right now quickly, EGM is section number 100. So who can call EGM? The board may, whenever it deems fit, call an EGM of the company. So board can call the EGM, we know very well. Okay, let us go ahead. The board shall at the requisition made. So this is section 100. This is the verbatim section. This is not for you to write the answer. Please, 1 second. I wanted to just quickly tell you which section is it. So if you go to section 100, subsection 2, board at the requisition, that is the point here. So you don't have to write this, but for your understanding, I'm showing your answer. I'll come to the answer. So not less than 1/10 of the paid up share capital of the company, they can make the requisition. So first you should know this particular provisions, correct? All the EGM provisions, right? Okay, now we will come to the answer. So here you will be writing the answer. Now here you will be writing the answer. Okay. Calling of EGM by the board. So under section 100, we know very well, members of holding 10% of the paid up share capital or voting rights can request the board of directors to hold EGM. They can tell board of directors, we have something to discuss, please hold a EGM. So usually board will hold it, but if the board doesn't hold it, then the requisitionist can hold it themselves. So they should state the matters to be discussed. So they should state what should be discussed. So again, let us quickly go to the question. We have to explain provisions of calling and holding the EGM by requisition. That is the first thing they are asking us. Timeline for that. And if the board does not call, when can the requisitionist, that is the shareholders, the 10% people, when can they themselves call the EGM? We should tell. Additionally, so again another question they are asking is feasibility of conducting the EGM for buyback of shares and outline the consequences if quorum is not present. If quorum is not present, what will happen? So all this they are asking in the question. So first thing we are telling that yes, requisitionist can call. This is the first thing you should write. Next we should write the timeline. Board must convene the EGM within 21 days of receiving the requisition and the meeting must be held within 45 days from the date of receipt of the requisition. So today you have requested. So 21 days board can think about it and all, but the meeting should be within 45 days from the date of the request. So if the request is made today, 21 days board can think, but within the 45th day, you must definitely hold the EGM. That is the board. But in the question they have asked us also, if the board fails, means board you requested, the shareholders requested, but the board did not respond. That time what happens? If board fails to convene, requisitionists themselves can call the meeting within 3 months from date of the requisition. 3 months time is there. Within 3 months from date of requisition, they can call. So this way, your knowledge of section 100 about requisition meeting is clear, correct? Feasibility of AGM for buyback of the shares. That is the question, correct? Buyback of shares must comply with section 68 to 70 of Companies Act. Such a transaction requires approval by way of a special resolution. So we need special resolution, we know that. And it can be passed in the EGM called by the requisitionist subject to all the other legal requirements. So first we are telling that it is possible. In the question, if you remember, they also asked about quorum requirement. If quorum is not present at the requisition, EGM, meeting shall be adjourned on the same day, time, place in the next week. Same day, time, place in the next week. Okay. At the adjourned meeting, the members present shall constitute the quorum. In the adjourned meeting, whoever is present is quorum. That is the law. Consequences, if board fails, then penalties will be imposed as per section 450. So your knowledge of section 100 is there. Requisition meeting. What if in the requisition meeting there are two options? Your shareholders request the board and board will hold the meeting. First option. Second option, shareholders request the board but board does not hold the meeting even within 45 days. Then the shareholders themselves, the people who have requested the meeting, they can hold the EGM. So these two options, that concept also you have tested. So if you look at it again, this is actually a very, very easy question. Very easy concept. This is a simple, everybody who studied section 100 will write it. But some students say that, oh, this question was very difficult, sir. Why? Because it is application of knowledge. You have to practice writing answers. That is what my students write answer every single day. We make every student write answer in Excel Academy. That is the reason. Study section 100 of the Companies Act. This is important for you. This is my note. This is not to write in the exam for what I'm telling you. Next, refer section 68 to 70 for buyback. So this is what I told you. I have told this before exam itself. Before exam I have told, I have even put it on YouTube also. I have told my students also in my classes and on YouTube, both places. Please remember one thing. Stop thinking like a school student. There will be a question, sir, out of syllabus question. There is nothing out of syllabus. This question has concepts from meeting. This question also has concept from buyback. So you will have a question which has answer from 2-3 different chapters, and that is what is life. When you are a company secretary, the company will come up with a problem. The solution will be in different sections of company law. So please don't tell out of syllabus question. Nothing is out of syllabus. As long as it is company law, nothing is out of syllabus. You are not well prepared. That's all. Anyway, now we are coming to question number 6A2. 6A2. So last 15 marks in this answer script which we are analyzing. You are requested to explain. So again, if you go to my IQCQ, identify the keywords, what type of question. So this is an explain question. Explain question. Explain the provisions of Companies Act and SEBI LODR. So both regarding vigil mechanism, whistleblower policy. Very, very straightforward question. If you know that concept, you can answer. Addressing the following points. Which companies are required to establish? Direct question. Direct question. What safeguards against victimization? Okay. Who is responsible for overseeing vigil mechanism, and what are the disclosure requirements? So they've given you 4 questions. It's a 5 marks question, almost 1 mark per question. Such questions are highly scoring, and it's also very direct. So when we analyze conceptual clarity about vigil mechanism, whistleblower policy, that's all they are asking. It is not a very difficult question. So let us go and understand that first. So company is required for vigil mechanism. So this is again, if you know it, you will know very, very clearly. As per 177 subsection 9, writing section numbers is what gives you that complete 5 out of 5 marks, correct? Listed companies, companies that accept deposit from public, companies that borrow money from banks and financial institutions exceeding 50 crore. If you know it, you write it and you get the marks. It is so simple. 1 mark you already got in the 5 marks, correct? Safeguard against victimization. Companies must ensure adequate safeguard to prevent victimization. What is victimization? Suppose there is a scam in a company. Okay, there is a scam in a company and you have reported it. You have become the whistleblower. Now the company will target you. Everybody will they will make sure that your life is hard. They will give you extra work. They will indirectly trouble you. They may even fire you from the job. So these are the problems. So safeguarding against victimization is important. So companies must ensure that the whistleblower is safeguarded. But let me tell you, not related to exam, in real world, this doesn't happen. You can't. In companies, they will victimize you. Of course, the law is there, but sometimes law and practice are very different. Many times, not just sometimes. The safeguards include what? Protecting employees and directors who report unethical behavior and ensuring that their identity is kept confidential. So whoever is complained, if their identity is confidential, there is nothing to worry. But if their identity becomes public and their manager, their senior, they start targeting them, it becomes a very, very big problem for them. Then the third question, oversight of vigil mechanism. Audit committee which oversees the vigil mechanism. Without audit committee, board of directors will oversee the vigil mechanism. That's all. So audit committee or board of directors, depending on whether the audit committee is there or not in the company. What are the disclosure requirements? What it should disclose? Vigil mechanism. What is our vigil mechanism? What is our whistleblower policy? Board of directors report, company's website, and all the employees and stakeholders should be aware. So it's a very direct question. So how to write answer in this whole paper analysis, there's nothing great for me to explain. Just write as it is. You'll get the complete 5 marks over there. Okay. Next. 6A3. Question number 6A3. What is this? 6A3. CSR. See, if you observe one thing, almost in every chapter you have got a question. Almost in every chapter you have got a question. So for students who ask which chapter can I leave, you can't leave anything. So this is a chapter, you have a separate chapter in company law practice called CSR, correct? In that chapter, the question is so specific. That is why I tell CSR, when you study CSR, this much your knowledge is there. Complete CSR chapter, you have so much knowledge. But the question is only about one small thing. What is that small thing? Rule 7 of CSR rules. Only about rule 7. So you have to read everything in detail when you study. And of course, with the right support, you can study well. My students found this question and answer very easy because CSR expenditure, ceiling on the administrative overhead, treatment of surplus, handling of the excess of the CSR spending, acquisition of capital assets. 5 questions. It is a 5 mark question. So 1 mark per question. If you know this so easy, you can get 5 out of 5. It is not at all difficult question. It is just a direct question, very direct question. So what are we analyzing? It is nothing but rule 7 of the CSR rules. Do you know or not? They are trying to test you. Okay, so let us see. First one, CSR expenditure. What is the, let's go back to the question. What is that telling? Concerning rule 7, what is the CSR expenditure provision which is given? What is the CSR expenditure covered? So company, whatever expenditure is there should be approved by the board and it should be in the CSR policy. It should not include expenses which benefit the employees alone. That we know very well, right? You can't have a CSR program and say only employees benefit. The public, the general public should benefit. Employees are not your public, correct? Ceiling of administrative overheads. Ceiling of administrative overhead. What is that? It cannot be more than 5%. So if you have, let us say, your CSR budget is 10 crores. 10 crores is your budget. In that 5% means 50 lakhs. You can have administrative overhead, salary, travel, all admin related expenses. But 9.5 crore should be the actual CSR. So you're building a school, you're building a toilet, you're giving education, you're building a water treatment plant. For that, 95% money should go. Okay. And 5% money can go to the administrative overhead. That is the law. Correct? So rule 7 says that. Next, treatment of surplus. So what if there is any surplus money generated from the activity? Must not be treated as a business profit. It is not a business profit. That's not your business. It's a CSR activity. Okay. What you should do, you should plow back in the CSR activity. You should give that excess money back to CSR activity. Transfer the money to unspent CSR account. Very important. And spend in accordance with the CSR policy within 6 months from end of the financial year. Within 6 months from end of financial year, you must spend it and it is compulsory. Right? Then, 4th point, handling of the excess of CSR spending. That is in that question, 4th point was this. Any excess amount on CSR activities in a financial year can be set off against the required CSR expenditure of the next 3 financial years subject to the board approval. Depending on the board approval, you can do. Then, acquisition of capital asset. Capital asset acquired through CSR fund must be held by Section 8 company, correct, or a trust or a society beneficiaries of the CSR project or public authority, company cannot hold the asset because it is not company's assets. See, once the money is CSR, it is not your money. You cannot take that back in any way. So it is a public good. So even if you capital asset, like what? We have a client, they built a school, so they had a building. One more client, they built a hospital, our client. In my CS practice, as you know, I'm practicing as a CS along with teaching here at Ekcel. So in my client, they built a school, they built a hospital. So can I say hospital building is my asset of my company? No. The hospital building will be the asset of the Section 8 company, trust or a society, and not the company itself. So company cannot own any asset because it is a CSR activity. Beneficiaries of the project can hold. The public can be owners of it. That is very important. So when you write the 5 points like this, you will get the complete marks, 5 out of 5. So what is the important thing relating to CSR? I am telling you, remember, every exam, for other chapters you may not get question, but CSR is compulsory question. So please become perfect in CSR. Please become perfect in CSR. And for students, if you are watching this on YouTube, if you want any notes relating to this, you can get in touch with us. Okay, fine. Next, the last question which we have in this question paper. We have come a long way. I hope this video has been useful for you. We have analyzed every question. Describe the disqualifications of a person appointed to continue as MD, whole-time director, manager under Companies Act, read with the conditions as part 1 of Schedule 5. If you look at it, see every question, no, they have not asked, according to me, no question is difficult because these are all basic concepts which we have studied. They have not asked something very, very hard. So how do you analyze? Disqualifications of MD, whole-time director in Companies Act and Schedule 5. This is what they're testing. This is the concepts they're testing. Okay. Now how should you write the answer? You can start writing Schedule 5. What are the disqualifications of the person to continue as whole-time director, etc. So what can you write? Age restrictions. First you can write about age restriction, that is below 21 years, above 70 years of age you can't be. If you are above 75 years age, what you should do? So what I want you to do in exam is, please write a example. Simply writing answer everybody will do. How are you different? That is important. That is why I have given example for you. If Mr. A is 75 years old, he can be appointed as managing director only if the company passes special resolution with justification. So write like that. Next, undischarged insolvent. Person who has been declared insolvent has not been discharged and cannot be appointed. So write an example. If Mr. B declared insolvent in 2022, cannot hold position of MD until he is legally discharged from that. See, when you write examples, the concept becomes easy for the person who is reading. So you will get marks. This is how you should present. This is how you should solve the paper. This is how you should be different. Conviction of for an offense. Again, if person has been convicted involving moral turpitude, imprisonment for more than 6 months, then he will be disqualified. That you know very well. But write the example. C was convicted for fraud and sentenced for 1 year in 2019. Correct? She remains disqualified from holding the position of MD until 2024. Why? That 5 years. So your concept has become so simple. So the person reading knows this student has not only by-hearted but understand concept and has written a very, very good example. That is why I am telling this is how you should write the answers. Correct? Next, incapacity due to mental physical condition. Again write example. Mr. D was declared unsound mind in 2021. He cannot continue as MD until his condition is revoked. So medically he should be sound mind. Correct? Right. Next, financial default. Again you can write example. Mr. E failed to pay call money on the shares for more than 6 months. He becomes ineligible for MD. So when you write example, the concept becomes easy. You only tell me, just by seeing this video, don't you think it's clear that the student was written like this, understood the concept? Yeah. Then specified employment restrictions. A person who has been disqualified under any law or competent authority holding an office. So if you are disqualified, sir, what does it mean? Write example. Mr. Ref was barred by authority for professional misconduct. She is disqualified from being appointed as MD. So you are given. So professional misconduct, somebody was guilty of professional misconduct, so they'll be disqualified. So specified employment restrictions has been explained in simple words by you, correct? So this comes to the end. Thank you very much, and get your copy. If you want a copy of all the answers, we are there to give you. Just go to the Google form in the description of this video. You can please fill your details and we will get back to you. We have come to the end of the video. Thanks a lot for joining us. This is the solved paper. We have many more videos. Any help you need for company secretary, Ekcel Academy is here. All our classes are in English. We have personal mentorship and we ensure every student who enrolls with us will become a company secretary. And of course, apart from the Google form, any other doubts, this is our number. You can leave a message. We will get back to you. If not immediately, we'll definitely get back to you. And for the solved paper, if you want whatever I've showed you, for you to see, for you to analyze, for you to work on it, you can definitely go to the Google form in the description of the video and we will be happy to share it with you. Thank you. All the best. Hope you like the video. Please do comment below, and CS is a great course. Please study hard, and any help we are there for you.